It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Now on ESPN 620, 98.7 FM HD2, and streaming live at ArizonaSports.com. The guys are powered by the law offices of Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. And now on your ESPN station in Phoenix, ESPN 620, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Matthews, one of the best in the league. McDavid, under 50% for the regular season. But he won 12 out of 14 in their opener, and he won that one and got a shot off. Centering pass, McDavid.
Mics are hot.
Wins it for Canada.
That sucked. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Nothing else to say, but it sucked. The best player on the planet, open in the slot, sudden death overtime. Make no mistake, he is the best player. Connor McDavid wins it overtime. Again, a game where they scored first, that being Canada, and last, and they win 3-2 in what could have been an incredible afternoon today. Unfortunately, goes down to Canada winning again, and once again doing what they do, and that is they dominate in hockey. And they followed the same script as they did in Vancouver in 2010, where Team USA won the round robin matchup between the two countries. But when it mattered, they won the gold, like they did the trophy yesterday in the Nations tournament. So Team USA, got them a lot of credit. They made it. They made
It's a hell of a game, Rock. Hell of a game.
The rivalry has never been any better than it is. The sport wins out for it clearly. It was a remarkable evening. A lot of people are at the bars watching it all over the place and getting into the spirit, and was just kind of really, really a really cool atmosphere from how they started with the opening of Miracle on Ice was just epic. They nailed it. Goosebumps. Give credit to Boston fans for not booing too much. It was sparingly, but the national anthem, or the O Canada anthem, which was changed, which we'll get into later, but was great.
Epic.
They did a good job, and you got to give United States, the crowd, a lot of love because they didn't make fools of themselves.
Yeah, Rock, from the get-go, just the frenetic pace, the energy that this game had in watching it for all the three periods and the overtime period was just phenomenal. It was, I think, playoff hockey, Stanley Cup hockey.
Game 7.
Yeah, Game 7. That's kind of pace. That's the kind of the way that I felt watching that game, especially that overtime. It even seemed like it picked up a gear in overtime. The shots on goal that Bennington stopped early on in that overtime. You went, damn, the USA's right there. They're gonna get one by. They're hammering him, and then they come down, and you find McDavid gets himself open, takes a shot, point blank shot basically, and they win it. But kudos to the USA team. Just a great game overall. But just watch this Canadian team. Just once again, I don't know if you call it talent, awareness, whatever it is, just making the shots when they had to, and they came through in a big way.
A lot of storylines, of course, that went into this game. The political tensions between the two nations, that added a layer to the amount of people that watched it. We don't have numbers yet. We will, I'm sure, later today on how many people actually tuned in. Love to see the Canadian numbers as well. The attendance at TD Garden was 17,850. It was one of the hardest tickets ever in that arena. 2 hours before the puck dropped, you had fans yelling USA, USA everywhere. You had folks in Canada doing the same. I give Canada a lot of credit. They were there. I mean, there were so many Canadian fans that actually spent all that money for those tickets. For them to come out with their captains, with Mike Eruzione from USA and Wayne Gretzky for Canada, respectfully. I mean, just the night, there was national pride for both sides. There'll be memories for both sides. I just hope that we can kind of continue with this, let the momentum continue. The person who came up with the idea deserves a massive raise because this was a tremendous tournament. I think it could be expanded to some other countries, which I think would be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Sweden, Czech, Russia, whoever it is.
Sure. Get the best of the best out there, I think.
You know, I wasn't a fan of the Canadian anthem singer changing lyrics of her anthem. I didn't think that was cool. But I understand you're a nation that's trying to defend yourselves with all the minutia that's being surrounded by all the political stuff that's being talked about. I didn't think that was cool. But you look at the back pages, New York Post today. Hey, it ain't so. Heartache for USA as Canada swipes Four Nations title in overtime. The Boston Herald today had puck pain. Canada drops USA in OT. You know, you even had the governor, the prime minister, Justin Trudeau, who came out right after and poked at the president of the United States saying, hey, you can't take our country. You can't take our game. Hey, more power to you. I'm glad he did that.
Let the smack talk again. Absolutely.
If you think you could kind of keep up with President Trump, more power to you. But
to the victor goes the spoils.
But for him to kind of put a big jug of salt and pour it on the on the United States wounds, you got to give the prime minister some credit.
Sure. I mean, let this smack talk go back and forth. I call it harmless words going back and forth. I mean, if that's the way you feel, hey, you deserve it. I mean, like I said, to the victor goes the spoils. I mean, they pretty much, here's one of the best games I think I've ever seen, Rock. I mean, I've seen a lot of good hockey games, but that one there, just going back and forth because of the minutiae you talk about, the rhetoric going back and forth, Trump touting the 51st state, the tariffs, all the above. I mean, both these teams were
But none of that mattered once the game started.
No, it wasn't. No, but I mean,
it wasn't really that big a deal going in. It was the media that made it more of a big deal.
But these teams were both, I think they were fired up. I think both teams were fired up for the right reasons.
I do too.
To win it for your country, all that other stuff aside, ignore the noise, go out there, do your job, play hard, play good defense, protect your goalie, all the above. Matter of fact, once the puck dropped, I didn't think about any of that stuff anymore. Just watching how the tempo, the pace, speed of the game. I mean, it was hell bent for leather from the drop of the puck till that final goal by McDavid. And that's what I appreciate, just the competitiveness, the energy going back and forth of these teams.
I didn't feel the same. I thought the game started slow. I thought U.S. was slow. I thought they weren't getting back on defense. I thought they weren't ready the first 5 minutes of the game. I thought once the game started getting going, they got
about 3 minutes.
Got loose. I think then I would agree. I think the third period was one of the best periods of hockey. I wouldn't say that the whole game was one of the best hockey games I've ever seen. Overtime sucked, to be honest with you, because we lost. Now, maybe my narrative today would be a lot different if they would have won. But I think the fact that I was watching them and I was like, okay, I hope we talk to Steve Peters today because I want to see if he saw the same thing I saw.
Sure.
I didn't play the game. But I think I know enough about the game to know that the game started slow and thought USA was getting beat by some of the skilled players from Canada.
So you see the game different. You watch more hockey than I have, Rock, and you would notice that. I just felt that the intensity, physicality was there from the get-go.
I did not say those words. I didn't say it wasn't.
But I felt, I saw physicality. I guess that's energy for me. That's as far as getting up and down the ice, the checks with each guy. And then in that overtime, for me, it felt like they really picked up a gear. And Bennington, just for him to get those stops.
I don't understand why he wasn't the MVP.
That's
when they were doing that, I was actually pissed off because I'm like, all right, why aren't you giving Bennington the MVP? He clearly was on his head.
Oh my gosh.
He clearly won that game, especially with some of those saves in the third period.
Overtime.
But I was like saying to myself, dude, what's going on? For once, a goalie deserves to get the MVP.
Yeah, and that's all they talked about. I mean, they raved about him during that period, and then after the game, and I quite frankly thought they'd give him the MVP as well too. But a well-rounded, a hell of a game. It's just one of those kind of games when you hate to see USA lose whatsoever, and you go, damn, so close, but yet so far. I think so close, but just so close to this team.
Wait, what?
Yeah, sometimes you go.
That didn't make any sense.
Well,
let's try. Just take two.
No. A lot
No,
of
it
times,
didn't. Trust me. Even Jack's nodding his head. You did not make sense.
Okay.
You're allowed to do it again.
Sometimes you say so close, but yet so far to victory, right?
And that's what you should have
Yeah,
said.
so close, but so far.
That's not what you
But I say so close, but so close to victory. Not quite so far. They're not that far away from victory. So that's what I'm getting at, Rock, is
doesn't make any sense.
so close, but yet so close.
All right, we got some sound we're going to play. You'll hear from both sides. We'll get into that in a moment. However, today's the debut of our Dingers contest, our D-backs spring training Dingers game. Whenever the D-backs hit a home run during a spring training game, we will play a sounder. By any chance, throwing you on a spot, do you happen to have that sounder ready to go there, Connor, so we can kind of get an idea? I haven't heard the sounder yet, so I'm just curious. Okay, I missed it. Is it just Sanford and Son, or is there anything else? Take two.
You got your baseball swing at the beginning. It's
All
a
right.
baseball swing, hitting a dinger. You got a little cheer, and then it goes into the song, fades out.
All right, we missed the beginning. We didn't hear that part.
I can give it to you one more time.
Please.
Go ahead.
Still hear it?
Nah, we got to work on that.
Oh,
We'll work on
We
that.
got to get that bat.
Yeah, we got to hear the bat.
We hear the bat. Like,
Yeah, let's hear the bat. I think the bat
Cheer.
was going the same time when the horn was going in the Sanford and Son song. So
let's try one last time. We
All right.
got to hear it.
all right. Yeah.
There you
All
go.
right, I just got to blare that baby for you.
Yes, there you go.
All right, so when you hear that, be the sixth caller. Today, it's going to be Wetzel's Pretzels. Why not? Pretzels at a ball game. We're going to hook you up. So when you hear the sound, it'll be the sixth caller, and you will get a Wetzel's Pretzels gift card, which you'll be able to use all over the valley, as they're all over the place. All right, coming up, our sounds from yesterday. Of course, you'll hear the Sportsnet final call. You'll hear the ESPN final call. You'll hear from some Scottsdale residents and folks that are from Scottsdale, Austin Matthews and Brady Kachuk, and of course, the best player on the planet, Connor McDavid. That's all coming up as we're just getting started. We're out here at Wright Toyota. And by the way, if you are in the market for a 72 Ford Bronco, they have one here that has 635 miles on it. It's been totally redone. And right now, it's going for only $284,000.
That's all, huh?
$284,000.
That is a beautiful truck. It's amazing to see that. I looked at
$284,000. When I walked in, I was like, "This thing's pretty badass," but I would get it painted right away.
You don't like that color? What would you call that color anyway?
It's like a light blue.
Yeah,
It's
light
like
powder blue.
Yeah, that's.
What would you paint that?
Some blonde would be driving it.
What color would you paint that, Rod?
Black.
Yeah, a little black to it.
Badass black or red. I mean, it is. So we'll put it up on our social. Yeah, it is. I've never
gorgeous.
Kind of sat in a $282,000 car, but this thing is pretty badass. It's worth the drive just to kind of check this thing out. I mean, everybody's around it. They just got it. So check it out. We'll continue. We're just got started here at Wright Toyota. This is ESPN 620.
So I'll give a hoot what you do say, girl, I know.
It's Friday, and the guys are live from Wright Toyota. Right on the corner, right on the price. Wright Toyota, located at 77th Street and Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in Scottsdale. Now back to the guys on ESPN 620.
All right, let's dive into some of the sounds from last night. We'll start with the Sportsnet call of Connor McDavid scoring the winning goal in overtime.
Off the drop, really got a shot on. Marner sends it around. Marner waiting.
That's Chris Cuthbert, who is with Sportsnet. Big call for him, and one that when you hear it, you're like, was that a home game for Canada?
Yeah, exactly. I thought the same thing, Roc.
Loud.
Yeah, a lot of fans cheering, the horn, the whole 9 yards. By the way, you know more about hockey than myself. How do you leave a guy like that wide open?
He wasn't wide open.
Well, he broke away. There was nobody within 10 feet of him.
All right, he's the best player on the planet.
Just
going to get open.
Got away from a guy.
Yeah.
Don't you have coverage? Guys drop back in
it's
front of
overtime.
the
You're all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you ever skated before, Manuch?
I have skated a little
He
bit.
wasn't wide open.
Well, he had a point blank shot. He had the closest guy was 10 feet from him.
Well, he got around him, and then boom, the puck just happened to be at the right place at the right time.
Great play, but he got out front. He was sitting there. He saw him. He passed it to him. He was there. He's there for at least one apple, two apple. I was just asking to see. We'll catch up with Steve Peters. Get his thoughts on how wide open he was on that shot.
Here's the ESPN call. It was just Sean McDonough.
Matthews, one of the best in the league. McDavid under 50% for the regular season. But he won 12 out of 14 in their opener, and he won that one and got a shot off. Centering pass, McDavid. Connor McDavid wins it for Canada. And Jordan Binnington has done it again inside the TD Garden. A finish by McDavid, and it's over. McDavid misses now. The pinch at the blue line's Makar. That keeps the play alive. It goes all the way around to Marner. 2 assists tonight for Marner. As he grabs it, finds McDavid, and this is perfect into the top of the net.
Sucks. Just
Talking about letting the air out of the balloon to see that. You sat there, you went, no, that can't be happening. That shot can't. But, Connor McDavid, those are top right, score, game, set, match, unfortunately.
Let's get to some player reaction. Let's start, and it's going to be, we have a lot of connections. We had 3 players from Scottsdale that were participating. Let's start with Austin Matthews on this loss and how it sucks.
You played some important games. How would you sort of compare this to this one, the meaning of it, maybe compared to some playoff situations and such?
I mean, I think this was probably the biggest game a lot of us have played in. You don't get too many opportunities to wear these colors, to wear this jersey, in a winner take all situation. So obviously it's disappointing, but I couldn't be prouder of the group. I thought, like I said, we competed the whole tournament, did everything it took to overcome many adversities. A lot of good stuff happened, but obviously sucks to walk away on the losing end.
Yeah, very well said. It does. I mean, it's just it's what, every 2, 3, 4 years you get a chance to have this tournament and have that opportunity right there, kind of grasped away from out of your hand. And next 2, 3, 4 years when they do it again? What do you think? Every 2 years, Roc? Every 3? Every 4 to make it fresh? What do you think?
Well, it won't be next year because of the Olympics, so it'll be a year after.
Yeah, I think it's something that
I'm sure it'll be changed. We won't see it like this. There's no way.
In what way? What do you mean changed?
More teams.
Oh, I would agree with that.
They'll grow it.
Yeah, I think Czechoslovakia, Russia.
I didn't like the scoring, how they did it either. I didn't like that at all. I don't like the fact that you could be in the final and still play a game and it doesn't matter, like they did earlier.
When they got beat by, was it Sweden or Finland on Monday?
Just like why?
Yeah. Why play?
Yeah. Just, I mean, we had, player got hurt. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. All right. One more from Scottsdale. Here's Brady Tkachuk. I wish we could get a couple more Tkachuks to start playing for Team USA.
This sucks. I thought this team deserved more. We had chances there to finish it off. This has been my favorite hockey memories, just playing for this team, playing with this group, and this is going to give us a nice motivation for years' time.
Yeah, use that to move forward with your team, and hopefully you look at that. You look at winning a Stanley Cup and then winning, whether it's a gold medal or a championship like this for your country. I mean, it really is. It's kind of like, the Stanley Cup, that's your goal in life, to win that as a hockey player. But, when you represent your country and you're going against your nemesis or your rival who touts that it's their game, you have a chance to beat them. And he mentioned that. In that overtime period, they had many chances to score. Bennington just, as you say, Rock, stood on his head.
I don't know about many chances. I don't know how many shots on goal they actually
had. 3 or 4.
All right, but
but the slot there, they had 2 in a row.
Yeah,
and then they had some deep. The one off to the side, where hell of a catch, snag by that one. But they had 2-3 chances early on, and then it seemed like it settled down. And then McDavid's goal at the end there.
All right, our last cut. Here's Connor McDavid, excited for his team and winning this trophy.
Just excited for our group. Honestly, everybody was so dug in. Starts months and months and months ago with management going out and picking the team, and the coaching staff coming together, and then obviously the players doing what we do. It's been a big production, and it's just sweet to have it all come together.
And it did. I guess I'm amazed these guys could come together, Rock. Before you play who's going to be there, but to come together, have the kind of chemistry and continuity that they had, like they've been playing together as a team for half a year, is the thing that amazes me. And I guess to see the hockey IQ, the hockey acumen, the things that they could do together in such a short amount of time it's truly amazing for me. Could be like a bunch of football players from all pros coming together and having a going against some other country in football, and within a week's time play a game that following Sunday, and then play maybe a couple 2-3 games over a 3-week period, and be able to have that kind of continuity and win and play for a championship. So I tip my hat to these guys all coming together and playing as well as they did.
It's interesting. Politics is a big part of this, and rightfully so. I mean, it just was. And Wayne Gretzky was the honorary captain for Team Canada, and a lot of mixed reviews for him being the captain of Canada from Canadians. They did not like it because
he's the great one, Rock.
He's a great one.
Yeah.
But, they consider him, some, not all, a traitor. He and some of his family appeared at Trump's victory party when he was reelected. He attended the inauguration. So you can imagine is sensitive as Canada is right now.
Yeah.
And we're one more thing, and many of you I want to be delicate how I say this, but
1 minute.
I think that let me find my notes, because I saw something that I think a lot of people probably did not see, and it has to do with President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't going down a political deal, but unless you support him or maybe even voted for him, you probably didn't see this. He doubled down on his plans to build statues for Kobe Bryant and Muhammad Ali.
Mm-hmm.
He is creating this huge area at the White House where he is going to honor guys like Kobe Bryant and Muhammad Ali and Rosa Parks and Jackie Robinson, and he is going to put sports figures and create this huge attraction. Something he tried to do the first time he was president, but no one's talking about that. I mean, that's a pretty positive story.
That's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah, of course, because you don't. Again, you and I disagree on politics.
Yeah, but if I saw that, I would commend him for that.
But your phone and your television, because your wife has the remote, you only see certain channels, so you're not seeing that.
Where did you see that? Where did that story come across?
Where the story comes?
Because I usually
I was probably, I don't know.
Was that a print media or because I haven't seen anything, whether it be Fox or CNN.
I mean, it was a press conference yesterday. It was everywhere. It was Yahoo Sports, Fox News, MNS or MSNBC, NBC News, Washington Post. I mean, I can go on and on.
Yeah, that's because I did not.
I mean, it was a
well, hey,
presser.
Hey, you know what? I'll commend him for doing that.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I think that's
Trump and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, and so
people are going to knock him. Oh, why is he going to do that?
Well, the knock might be he comments on DEI, but then he's got diversity as far as the statues are concerned. So you give him credit for that one, Rock.
D-backs radio analyst Tom Candiotti will get his preview for the season. He will join us next. But first, here's Jax with your local 620 Sports Update.
Now time for your Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B's bottom of the hour ESPN 620 Sports Update. From Wright Toyota, I'm Jackson Groff. A Victor Wembanyama-less San Antonio Spurs defeated the Phoenix Suns last night 120-109, handing the Suns their 29th loss of the season. It was a disappointing homecoming for Kevin Durant, who played at his alma mater's arena at the University of Texas last night. Phoenix has now dropped 4 straight games, 8 of its last 10. The Suns will try to snap their skid with the 3-game road trip starting tomorrow in Chicago at 3 p.m., followed by matchups against the Toronto Raptors on Sunday at 4 p.m. and the Memphis Grizzlies on Tuesday night. Catch all the action on 98.7 FM and ArizonaSports.com. There are multiple ways to listen to us: ESPN 620 AM, on FM at 98.7 HD2, and always streaming live on ArizonaSports.com. Make sure to like our show pages on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and always search Roc and Manuch, and also look at our website at RocandManuch.com.
The Harlem Globetrotters 2025.
Impressive, Jay.
the knuckleball. I mean, that ball, he sees it. It's in the middle of the plate at one point, and then
Making Mike's hot.
And the Candyman can.
Candiotti just continues to throw slower and slower every inning. Gravity's going to take over pretty soon. The ball's not going to make it to home plate.
Air strike 3. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. The Candyman can.
Tom Candiotti now joins us now on ESPN 620. You know, Tom, you've been with us for a long time, and we've been now on our 15th station, I think, and every time we've gone to a new station, now we're at the same home you are for Diamondback games and 98.7 and ESPN 620. But we still have the best open in sports. Wouldn't you agree? The best open.
You know, I know it's baseball season once I hear that.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Brings back chills.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Well, hey, you know, I want to throw this at you. Can you make an argument that last year's Diamondbacks version of the Diamondbacks was in some sense better than the 2023? And even that 2023 was a pretty, you know, the fact that they went to the World Series. But on paper, and you look at runs scored and some of the other things, that team was really good last year. They really had some really good, they put up some serious numbers.
The offense was really tremendous. I mean, it was runs every single game, and it just wasn't like the big blowout games. I mean, they were consistently scoring, you know, and this was really without Corbin Carroll having, you know, the type of year that we kind of expected, you know, but Marte was fantastic. I mean, all the way down. I mean, McCarthy really had a nice comeback season, you know, getting on base and stealing bases. You know, it was really fun to watch. But what happened last year is, you know, for whatever reason, you didn't have your 1A and B starters there in Gallen and Kelly, you know, really pitching up to their potential. We saw glimpses of it and for a little short, you know, spurts of time, but like not overall, you know, like they had pitched the year before. And I think, you know, that put a lot of stress on the bullpen. The bullpen wasn't real good. They were trying to figure that one out. It seemed like it was all year, you know, and it was nice getting A.J. Puck, who really came in. You're starting to see maybe the emergence of Justin Martinez. You know, he had his moments too, but you could still see that he's still a little bit raw as you know, he tumbled a few times. But overall, I think going into this season now, I think the young guys that we were talking about from, you know, 2 years ago, last year, I think, you know, with a couple seasons under their belt, I think you're going to see more consistent players. I think they know what they need to do in order to succeed out there. I think Torrey and the pitching the coaching staff has a lot more feel for what, you know, they can ask them to do and things. So I'm pretty excited about it. You know, I was just listening to the start of the game and just, you know, listening to Corbin Burns strike out the side. And that was a nice one to also start the Cactus League off on.
Heck yeah. Okay, we'll get into pitching, but let's stay on that offense. Marte had a massive year, 36 dingers. You throw in Suarez's 30. But now you lose Walker and Jock Peterson, who combined, I think they were 49 or 50. How do you replace that? I know, you know, you make a nice trade with Nair, who I believe hit 30-31 in Cleveland. Who's going to step up to fill that?
Well, I think Naylor is going to be himself. You know, I think he's going to have plenty of RBI opportunities, and he's not going to have to hit in the freezing cold weather of Cleveland. Trust me, I know.
You know
what
it.
That's like for the first couple, you know, months of the season. You know, it's going to be, you know, 80 degrees, and he's going to be feeling really good. So that's probably only going to add, you know, to his, to his offense. And, you know, I'm not really that worried about, you know, Josh's offense at all. You know, Marte, you know, that's a big season to try to repeat. You know, hopefully he can get, you know, somewhere close to that. And he certainly, you know, has that type of talent. You know, so I think a lot of it is if Corbin can kind of be the player that we saw towards the end of the year, you know, the second half of the season anyway. And I think it'll be interesting to see, you know, if Gurriel can remember how he started off last year, how like, you know, just electric he was, hitting home runs, driving runs in, and then he went into a big lull. And that kind of hurt a little bit, and almost the other way around was Suarez, who really started off bad, traditionally, which is what he does. And then he got about as hot as anybody in baseball. So you kind of want to see that consistent scoring throughout. But, they're very capable of being able to swing the bats really with anybody in the league.
So, Tom, I guess the $64,000 question would be for Pavin Smith. Where do you see him? Is he the DH? Can he handle that day in and day out? Can we see the production that we would see periodically out of this young man? We'll be able to pick up, as Rock alluded to, the Jock Petersons of the world, or if Naylor was to go the DH and Smith goes and plays first base, will we see more, or do we need to see more consistency out of Pavin Smith?
Well, the one thing we know about Pavin is he can hit. He might be a little challenged defensively, wherever you put him, but, he's gotten better, over the last, few years, putting a little bit more emphasis on his defense. But I think, with him just being the DH, at least the left-handed DH, and maybe you can run Grichuk or Mancini out there to be the right-handed DH, depending on, the pitcher and stuff. So Pavin, you got to remember, when we were in the World Series, he was our DH. Mm-hmm. So he's done it in the biggest, the biggest stage, really. And so I just know I've seen him so many times get hot, get hit. It doesn't matter. He handles the bat really well. So I think once you give a guy like that the role, and he knows this is what he's going to do, almost like you did with Peterson last year, he knew he was going to be the DH, especially against right-handed pitchers. If Pavin, it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. I think he'll be pretty good.
And so Jordan Lawler, what's the game plan for him? Here's the top pick a few years ago, often injured. Understand it at spring training, he's playing very, very well. Do you give him a chance to battle it out with Suarez at third base, or you just get him ready, get a lot of at-bats, and send him down to keep him tweaked?
Well, I think you got to see, what he's bringing to the table. I think spring training will be a big time for Jordan. He hasn't quite done it yet. And, we know the talent. They put obviously a high draft pick on him. And, they're expecting, to be able to, to get some benefit out of that. And so you're just kind of waiting for him to mature, the right way. And, both on the defense and also offensively, if he can get to that point, then there could be a competition, right? Suarez is really steady defensively. The guy, I don't know if I've ever seen him make a bad throw. I mean, he is just on the money with it. If he gets to it, he's going to catch it. Maybe he doesn't have the greatest range at third base, but he's steady. So if Jordan can get to a place where he can, really be able to use his athleticism, being a younger kid with some great range and a great arm, if he can get there, with his bat, then, I could see a competition going on for sure.
Tom Candiotti joining Roc and Manuch here on ESPN 620. Candy, when you look at the pitching, one of the, to me, what I thought was somewhat shocking is when they fired the pitching coach, Brent Strom, who, of course, has been a heck of a coach, did so many things with so many different organizations, specifically Houston. They bring in this guy, Brian Kaplan, who was the assistant pitching coach and director of pitching for the Phillies. I believe I'm doing some homework on him. He's got some kind of sports performance deal that he's put together. He's co-founded or whatever that's had a lot of success. Were you somewhat surprised that, they let him go, and then now they've just, or maybe you can answer this, why did they let him go, you think?
Yeah, I don't know. That's all the front office thing there.
Yeah.
And you got to look at salaries and all that kind of stuff. But it, from what I've understand, what I've heard is that they're really
about 2 more minutes.
He's very, motivated for it, and sometimes, that's a big thing.
Sure,
is getting excited about your job, not getting complacent in it, and bringing some new ideas, which I think they had. And let's face it, the pitching staff was pretty underwhelming last year.
Yeah,
and so what do? You can't fire all the pitchers, right?
Yeah.
And I know I've talked to Corbin Burns about this guy, and he really likes him. and so does Gallen, and so does Merrill Kelly. So we'll see how it goes throughout the season, and I just know, like, when I look at the staff overall, I see the starters all being like, they probably don't need to be coached that much. They're not veteran guys. They're on the verge of being veteran guys, and they have a lot of depth there. But I think where he's going to make his impact is probably going to be some of the bullpen arms.
Okay.
And how the bullpen gets used, because that was a big concern last year of all the innings that they had to pitch, and without the starters, and kind of mentioned earlier, not really having the type of year they had the year before, not maybe getting as deep in games, that bullpen got taxed a little bit. So, we'll see, what his ideas are with that, and, how he works with Torrey and in the training staff.
How long do you think it'll take Skipper to name a closer?
Oh, boy, I don't know. That's the one thing that everyone's watching.
Yeah,
probably time for one more
training. Who's going to be that guy?
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard. They've had some guys with experience down there. Ginkle's had some experience closing. AJ Puck did a good job. He's got some experience. I mean, they have. Martinez has got that experience. I mean, they have guys. But you don't have that. That knockdown close, that Josh Hader, or guys like that are just gonna. This is my ball. This is my time. Game's over. So. It could be that, Torrey's going to maybe play the matchups a little bit early on just to see, and it'll kind of straighten itself out, I think.
Tom, I've got about a minute here. What's the next step for Brandon Pfaadt? Because you got Burns, Gallen, Kelly, then Pfaadt or Rodriguez. But for Pfaadt, what's the next step in his game?
I love Brandon Pfaadt. I think this kid, he takes the ball. He's a strike thrower. He just goes right after. I think where he gets hurt is with that sweeper, which is so effective against righties, but it's not a pitch that really changes planes. It's a lateral pitch. And so if you're keeping that over the middle of the plate, that's where he gets burned, and especially against lefties, as that ball's kind of coming into their power out place. And so if he can learn how to keep that on the back door or put it on the inside. And he really started going to a changeup and a two-seamer last year, which I think really helped him against lefties. And so I'm hoping that he can just put all that together. And if he can, he could be really good. But they have depth. They have depth with injuries. They have, Ryan Nelson. I love that kid. That kid he might have been their best pitcher for about 6 weeks last year. And, when he got hurt, I thought that was a big blow to the team, the way he was throwing. So, he's another capable guy. So, it's, there's a lot of possibilities, no doubt about it. And I think it'll come down to, really who's throwing the best.
So are you ready to go tomorrow? Are you on the call tomorrow here on ESPN 620 of Diamondbacks broadcast?
Yeah, ready to go.
All right. We'll be listening.
Now as we speak, and listen to Corbin's, first 3 punch outs. I thought it was great.
How about that?
So, we're ready to roll.
Oh, we love it. Baseball season is back. Hey, Tom, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
You got it, man. Talk to you later.
Tom Candiotti. You'll be able to hear him tomorrow right here on ESPN 620, D-backs Rockies from Salt River Fields. So good stuff. You can follow him on Twitter at Tom Candiotti. Today, Tom's brought to you by All City Towing. And they are hiring. Yes, they are hiring dispatchers, call takers, lot attendants, drivers. The list goes on and on. Great benefits, employee paid life insurance, monthly fuel allowance. I could go on that as well. But check it out for yourself. If you're ready to take your career to the next level, go to allcitytowing.com. That's All City Towing, where your future is on the move. We're out here at Wright Toyota. We'll continue. We got some football at 50 and some other good stuff to share. It's ESPN 620 and on FM at 98.7 HD2. season. I know it doesn't matter. We're not going to remember what happened in training camp and spring training and preseason and all that, but not bad.
Maybe it's an omen of things to come, Rock. I mean, to have the stud, you have your stud there, and you got Zach Gallen and Kelly and Fott and Rodriguez. I mean, hopefully this staff. You talked earlier in reference to Tom Candiotti about the hitting they had, and the staff really faded last year. The bullpen was really taxed, and it was all about the hitting. So hopefully this. A lot of people comparing this to one of the best staffs, not only in the National League, Rob, but the entire Major League Baseball. This team.
You know, I brought up to Tom about the firing of Brett Strom. He's an older guy, right? He's been around, and I thought Tom said it eloquently. That hey, maybe you want somebody that's a little bit more fired up, so to speak. But those are my words. But this guy Brian Kaplan, he's with the Phillies. Assistant pitching coach, and from 2022 to 2024, they were second in sinker usage, and the D-backs were 20th. So he is big into mechanics and promoting healthy habits. So maybe a guy like that can take this rotation. Basically, he's taken over.
Yeah,
he's taken over a Mercedes.
He is
like he's taken over, a Kia.
You read about
nothing against Kia.
Strom's great experience, but this guy's got new technique, mechanics. You mentioned
ideas,
health, new ideas, and he's studying the metrics very hard. You talk about the amount of sinkers versus the lack of sinkers by the Diamondback staff, and I think what this guy can be able to do is look at what are the strengths and weaknesses of every pitcher. Okay, let's look at the team you're going to play. Let's utilize what you do really, really well. And let's work on what you don't do very, very well. I mean, when I train my quarterbacks, I'm always like, okay, what'd you do well today? Okay, what'd you do? What do you need to improve on? And to verbalize that, them to understand and work it. So it seems that this guy's there's more physicality to his training and understanding and metrics. Where Strom, who knows by experience, does a great job with the charts, but maybe that's just something that was needed more on the physical side or mechanics, and work it from there. That's the only thing I can think of.
As we get on this day here on the 21st of February, back in 2012, the Cubs and the Red Sox finally agreed on compensation for the Cubs hiring Boston's general manager, Theo Epstein, to be their president, while Epstein was still under contract earlier in that offseason. So the Cubs agreed to send pitcher Chris Carpenter to the Sox, and the two teams then also exchange other players that were named later in the deal. It's just amazing to me that you see general managers in baseball of all sports being traded.
And didn't they have? When do they typically have the owners and managers get together, Rock? Because
baseball winter meetings.
Winter meetings. So there's something
December.
Must be. Yeah, is it December?
Yeah.
So maybe there was some collusion or illegal tampering going on in reference to the Cubs talking to Theo. Hey, look, Theo, we got a hell of a deal here for you. And so I think that's why the commissioner probably said, hey, look, let's work this out. You're going to lose this guy and that guy. But I'm surprised the commissioner, if he could pin it all down, that there's some, tampering, collusion, whatever you want to call it. The only thing I could think of might have been at the winter meetings that this all came about, because it wasn't there soon after to this date back in 2012 that this came down and the commission went timeout. There's got to be some compensation going back to Boston. So I think that they handled it as well as they possibly could.
25 years ago, the Reds announced that they have dropped their ban on earrings. Now, players had worn them in the clubhouse, but they weren't allowed to wear them on the field. It just happened that that offseason, they signed Ken Griffey Jr., who always wore earrings.
Interesting how that happens.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about what the Yankees did today, too, a little bit later. So that is on this day. Oh, one more on this day. 39 years ago, a movie comes out, 1986, an erotic thriller. You have any idea?
2.5 minutes.
It comes up all the time if you are...
Boogie Nights?
Same idea.
Same area. Oh, exotic thriller.
Mickey Rourke.
Oh man.
And Kim Basinger.
Oh man.
9.5 weeks.
Yo, man. What a movie.
That was one of those.
Wow.
Like, oh.
Yeah. We can watch this.
Yeah, can we watch it again?
oh my gosh. We can watch this.
Yeah.
That was,
all right.
Talk about intense.
Oh, man.
In a good way, I guess.
Hey, real quick, Football 50. We've been talking about a lot of NFL teams that are looking for private equity money. The NFL said, hey, you could do 10%. Now, the group includes the Texans, the Browns, the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Eagles, the Commanders, and the Bears. And then you also got the Bills, Titans, Panthers, and Jags that are all working on new venues, new stadium renovations that have some public money coming in.
Sure.
So that's 12 of 32 teams that are either getting or trying to get updated or new places to play with significant taxpayer money that's being asked for.
Wait, so they're looking to sell 10% of the team, draw more money. Okay, so they're looking for more partners to.
I mean, you figure why wouldn't you? Your team's valued in the billions.
Sure.
Sell 10%. That's an instant, millions and millions of dollars.
And reduces your risk on the back end as well as that's concerned.
True.
Too.
Yeah. So, all right, hour number 2. Again, if the D-backs hit a dinger, you win. Thanks to our friends at Wetzel's Pretzels. But coming up, we will talk to Coach Pete, Steve Peters, former assistant coach for the Coyotes. Break down last night's game. We also got Scott Spreitzer, got a lot of college basketball that he will handicap for us today in our locks of the week. It's Roc and Manuch.
30 seconds.
With Jimmy B from Wright Toyota on ESPN 620.
Yes.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-235-5588. That's 800-235-5588. 800-235-5588.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you tried online gaming. Who knew 12-year-old boys could be so mean? And where did they learn to swear like that? 2 hours of losing to these underage trash talkers, and you're starting to question if maybe you really should stick to pickleball and other boomer stuff. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Wow, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you?
We got Steve on the line there.
Good news, the Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
And I'm going to do the Canada call for this one.
Capital One NA member FTC.
So you guys want ESPN?
On March 15th,
What's
the
that?
celebrity.
I said I was going to do the Canada call on this one. We'll do the show intro and then go into the Canada game winner for McDavid.
And spirits while enjoying live appearances from legends like Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Neil Giraldo, star of the TV series Criminal Minds Joe Mantegna, WWE's Brie Garcia, NBA All-Star Tom Chambers, and more. VIP tickets for early access, private lounge, and more at Civic Center Live.
Wasn't a dinger, but I believe it was Marte, who got a RBI, got Perdomo home.
8 All City Towing. We're hiring dispatchers, call takers, lot attendants, drivers, and customer service personnel. Enjoy benefits like the state's most advanced tow.
Morgan really got a shot on. Burrs hit it around. Morgan waiting.
I'm done with this. Connor, I don't want to play that anymore. I want you to destroy the tape. I'm tired of it. We've already played it too much today, and we're not even halfway through the show yet. Steve, that sucked. Just sucked. Can you make me feel a little bit better? Is there something you could say that'll make me feel better? But I was really pissed off last night.
Yeah. The good news is the Olympics are a year away.
Okay.
And because literally this was a made-up tournament made for TV. They won literally nothing. Well, I wish USA would have won literally nothing.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But they're playing for gold medals in 12 months. And this only ramps up the rivalry. It only ramps up the stories we're going to tell between now and then. And it is great for hockey. And it's unfortunate the way it ended for American fans. But we'll do it for real in 12 months.
Well, don't tell those players that was for nothing. There was for a lot of pride. There was a lot of honor. Don't tell them it was for nothing, Steve Peters.
Exactly. No, you're right. The intensity these guys had on a tournament
Yes.
that has no history and has no future is absolutely amazing. And that shows you what hockey players are like. I'm telling you, if you put 4 hockey players out in the backyard with boots, sticks, and a ball and say Team USA versus Team Canada, they're going at it that hard. And I think that's what makes hockey players just a little bit different.
All right, Steve. So you watch tape for a living. You played the sport. You worked the sport for your livelihood. The way the game started, I thought it started slow, in that I felt that U.S. was kind of not getting back on defense, and I was getting a little frustrated. And of course, I don't know the game as well as you do, of course, but I took it as, all right, I was getting frustrated. I'm like, they're going to get beat here. And then, of course, Canada scores. And then I'm like, oh, no, here that pops the bubble. But if you hear all the pundits today, all 3 periods plus the overtime, it was like a game 7. I only felt that towards the third and in the overtime. Am I just, I don't know, wet in the ears?
No, you're right. You're right. And I think what happened in this, especially in the first period, the tension and the nerves were so high. Mm-hmm. And you could see the Americans just didn't want to make a mistake. It's great. It's great to play not trying to make a mistake, but if you play that way, nothing good's going to happen either. And I think Team Canada found their game quicker. I think they found their pace quicker. I think they had more offensive opportunities quicker. But as the game wore on, Team USA finally started to play. And I think they finally started to find their game. And you look at that third period. That third period was fantastic.
Yeah.
And into overtime, the trading offensive chances. And I think the game finally loosened up. I'm surprised it took that long. And again, and I am kind of joking a little bit about this just being an all-star game, but it is an all-star game. And these guys, I thought the offense would open up a little bit sooner, but you could see how important this was for them to win this game. And no one wanted to be the guy that has egg on their face and makes the mistake. And I think that's why this game started slower than most people anticipated.
You're a former goalie. What can you say about Binnington?
You know, it's a guy that I'll be honest. I'm not a huge Binnington fan.
Okay.
I'm not. I think in the NHL, I think he's a guy that plays on the edge, and sometimes he goes over that and he loses focus on the game. And he's a guy now that's won a Stanley Cup. He set the record for wins for the St. Louis Blues, and he played the best hockey of his career in that 10 minutes of overtime. He was absolutely elite and dialed in. We can sit here and talk about what happened with McDavid winning the game. This game was on the stick of Austin Matthews 3 times in overtime with fantastic opportunities. Like fantastic. 5 alarm bell saves by Binnington to keep that out of the net. Binnington to me is the MVP over that 10 minutes. Absolutely fantastic game.
All right, 2 parts. You can make a case you should have gave him the MVP, first of all. And then second part of that, you brought up Austin Matthews. Same thing. You know, all this hype about Austin Matthews, and here in Phoenix, you know, there are a lot of people that maybe have heard this guy, Austin Matthews. But if you're not a hockey fan, and then all of a sudden you tap into the sport, you're here in Scottsdale, Arizona, you were kind of maybe disappointed on how he played, even the whole tournament.
Yeah, one of the things to keep in mind with the way his season has gone all year, this is the guy that's been injured a large part of the season in Toronto, and I think that has affected him even into this tournament.
Fair.
But when you look at his tournament work, his body of work during this tournament, offensively, I don't think he had his best tournament. But up until the last 10 seconds of the tournament, he was defending incredibly well. Like he had great stick. He was back checking well. He had done it, covered his defensive assignments well, stayed on the defensive side of players extremely well until it really, 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 really mattered. And then he didn't.
So let me ask you, the sport wins out for this. And if Gary Bettman, the commissioner, says, all right, Coach Pete, we need you to take what you just saw over the last week and improve it and basically benefit from it. How would you maybe take what you just saw happen? Because obviously all the eyes are on it. I'm sure, hey, it was political too, but so what? It's still got eyes to the sport. How can you now take advantage of it?
Yeah, you know, I think it's big for hockey now to try to get the narrative on their stars. I think we saw that with the Kachucks. Yeah. And you say what you want about fighting and get it out of the game. The reality was there were millions of eyes on that game because Team America dropped their gloves. They're just this reality of sport. And I think what Gary Bettman and the NHL needs to do is capture the personalities. And they're not just the superstars, but the guys that have the personalities, and recognize that those are the guys that can help drive the sport. And I think the Kachucks are the perfect example of that. I do think that coming out and announcing the World Cup of Hockey every other year, opposite the Olympics, so you have 2 years Olympics, 2 years World Cup of Hockey, and so on. Every 2 years, you're going to get best on best. Huge move by the NHL. I do think they're taking strides, but they've got to capture the imagination of people this weekend. And you've got to get the narrative of Alex Ovechkin chasing Gretzky's record. That's got to get out there. I think you've got to capitalize on those stars that played as household names over the last 2 weeks and try to promote those guys as much as you can. It's great for the sport, but if it all goes away before playoff starts, I'm not sure if they achieve their goal.
Steve, in reference to that third period at Roc alluded to, I really appreciate the gear they were in. But that overtime, it seemed like they both found an extra gear to go to, going back and forth. And I agree. I think that early on in that period, the USA had a chance to win that, but Binnington just was phenomenal. But on that last goal, and when I texted you last night, in watching a football game or basketball game, when somebody's wide open like that, I mean, McDavid gets out in front of the net, and it seemed as though, I don't know, it just seemed more open than normal. Maybe I'm all in on this, but
I want to jump in on this too, because Dan and I were going back on that. I didn't think he was that open. I just thought he was freaking great. He just was in the right place at the right time. That's why he's the best player on the world or on the planet. I mean, but was he wide open? Was that considered a wide open spot?
Yeah, without a doubt, to leave the best player right now in the world undefended in the most dangerous scoring area on the ice was egregious by Team USA.
Yeah,
unexcusable by Team USA. And I talked about it before the tournament.
Yes, you did.
Stay on McDavid.
You did.
Defend McDavid even when you have the puck. That's how much he can break a game open. He struggled through this game. McDavid had turnovers. He couldn't maintain the puck. He was defended very well.
Yeah.
But when it all came down to it, he was wide open. Why does that happen?
About 3 more minutes.
Because I watched the game in slow motion, frame by frame. This happens so fast. And the puck rims around the boards. And Austin Matthews sees Mitch Marner all alone. That's all he sees.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch Marner's alone in the corner with the puck. I got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Forgetting that his responsibility is in front of the net with Connor McDavid. And you get so frustrated because one of the best defensive players for Team USA is the guy that left the most vulnerable spot at the worst of all times. And it is very frustrating. And I will say this, and I did do this for a living where I broke down these plays and I have to assign blame to players. I literally did that for my job.
Okay.
And I over the last 24 hours, well, not even 24 hours yet, people coming at me on the internet that I'm an idiot, that I don't know what I'm talking about, is a little bit frustrating. I just want to throw that out there. A little frustrating. So for those listening, unfortunately, this was Austin Matthews' fault.
And
you go there.
And you said it the other day. Don't give Connor McDavid space. I remember that. That's why when I texted you last night, too much space, and you went absolutely. And you went blown assignment. I went, wow, of all the people to leave alone, and you nailed it, Steve. You really did.
It's frustrating. It is frustrating, and I don't want to. I'm not picking on Austin Matthews. I'm just that was the reality of the situation.
Sure.
Now, what did he see, and why did he do it? Well, that's another story.
Yeah.
You know, you got to go the communication with Adam Fox behind the net. Could Brock Nelson help out on the weak side? All of those things, the hockey stuff that nobody really is concerned about today. Above all, if you're that close to the best player in the world, you don't leave him alone. And that's really what this comes down to.
Good to start wrapping.
But Bennington makes the saves at the other end. That's hockey. That hockey is a game of mistakes because it happens so fast. It's not preset like football. You don't have a down and a play route. It's chaos. And when the puck drops, you have to make quick decisions. And in a short tournament like this, when you don't have cohesive line mates, you don't have a structure built in by a coaching staff, mistakes happen even more often. And I think that's what Team USA is going to have to learn going into the Olympics is, hey, we got to get on the same page on our defensive zone systems, our neutral zone systems. And I think you'll see a much more structured Team USA 12 months from now.
Last one, PD. How close were the Coyotes to getting Connor McDavid?
Why would you do that to me?
I have to, because it drove me nuts yesterday. I was saying that everybody watching the game, I'm like, you don't realize the Coyotes were supposed to get him. That was before he won the game.
And what a difference the path would have had for a franchise if a player like Connor McDavid is playing here in the desert. A new building happens. The sponsorship happens. We are not sitting where we are today. And it's funny because in hindsight, that team won some games down the stretch that they probably should not have.
Exactly.
And put themselves in a worse position in the lottery. And I remember sitting there in Buffalo, New York, and winning a game in overtime against Buffalo going, what are we doing? And I know you don't want to hear that from your coaching staff. Coaches are supposed to win. But at that point, I'm thinking a Tuesday in Buffalo, 6 months from now, no one's going to care. No one's going to care that you won that game. They are going to care when the ping pong ball comes up and it's not an Arizona Coyote logo on it. And that's what happened. And unfortunately, the Coyotes finished third in that lottery. Don't get McDavid. Don't get
good to break
up with Dylan Strome, who's a nice player. Really nice player.
Nice.
But those other two players change a franchise. And McDavid, literally, if he's the Arizona Coyote, this team is not just here, but flourishing here. And that's how it's so frustrating that you miss out on Sidney Crosby when the Coyotes were the worst team in hockey. Pittsburgh wins the ping pong balls. Why? Because of the lockout. Just Coyotes luck. So maybe Coyotes 2.0 in 29-30 will have much better lottery luck. Hang in there.
Thank you, Steve.
Hang in there.
Thank you, Petey. We'll
Thanks,
talk to you
guys.
soon, buddy.
Thanks, Coach.
Don't be a stranger. Don't be a stranger.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.
That's Coach Pete. Steve Peters, Puck Talk. Check it out. S. Peters Hockey does a tremendous job. He's with ESPN.
Sure does, boy.
And a former coach for 20-plus years for the Yotes. All right, we'll go back to baseball. You will have a new home for Sunday Night Baseball come next year. And we have a new look for the New York Yankees for this upcoming season. Listening to ESPN 620, 98.7 HD2, and we're streaming live on ArizonaSports.com.
The 2-2 again. Swing and a miss. Swinging over a sinker, and Doyle down on strikes. And that's the first strikeout in the D-backs uniform for Corbin Burns. Yes, it did. Catch the bottom of the strike zone, and back-to-back strikeouts and pitch. Swing and a miss, and Corbin Burns strikes out the side in his D-backs debut.
All right, thanks to the Mothership 98.7. That's earlier today as Corbin Burns started today's spring training game and struck out the side. 2 swinging, 1 looking. D-backs up 3-0 in the fourth, I believe. Actually, 5-3 now in the top of the fourth. So I had the last thing I had was bottom of the third. But anyway, Major League Baseball and ESPN have decided as of last night to end their long-term partnership after the season for Sunday Night Football.
Saying it's so wrong.
Yeah, since 1990. Major League Baseball has been on ESPN, and ESPN has invested so much in the college and NFL football as well as NBA in recent years. So they have decided that, all right, we're not really into it anymore, and we're going to go a different direction. So this means that the commissioner, Rob Manfred, will now kind of look at some other opportunities for their next media deal. If you recall, which I thought was a joke, if you remember, they've experimented with Roku, Apple, Peacock, YouTube, Facebook. If you remember, there were a couple games last couple years, where it's like, I'll never forget. I was in Philadelphia and I saw the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. So I went to a game in Philly, and I remember being at the game, and I was at the bar, and the broadcast was Diamondbacks. So our Jody Jackson, the whole crew, were doing the broadcast, and that game was 11 o'clock start Eastern. So it started at 9 o'clock here, or it may have been 8 o'clock at that time.
3 hours.
8 o'clock, yeah. So I remember the game started at 11. So so it was an 8 o'clock start out here, and I remember at 11 o'clock. And and the only reason I was able to go because I had a flight that afternoon. I was like, 11. I thought it was a typo. I'm like, oh, there's a mistake. It's a time difference deal. But it was 11 o'clock start local in Philadelphia. One of the hottest days ever. But Apple and Roku, they were paying about $100 million for these regular season games.
You think of ESPN, you talk about all the outlets, and I think it was Johnny Miller and Joe Morgan. When I think of that Sunday night baseball.
It's always Dodgers and Yankees and Red Sox.
Oh, early on it was Yankees, Red Sox forever. But anyways, those two, God bless Joe Morgan who passed. But that was Sunday night baseball. That was like, okay, basketball season's over. It's in between football season. Turn the game on, whether it's background noise or not, unless the Diamondbacks are playing, or for me, it was Cardinals, whoever. But those guys were that was Sunday night baseball, those two broadcasters. And the other guys do a good job, don't get me wrong.
So now, this isn't just Sunday night football or Sunday night baseball. This is the wild card round. This is the home run derby.
Yes.
This is 30-plus regular season games.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens there.
Who do you think's a natural to take it over, Rock? I mean, NBC had it for years.
Apple or one of the streaming services.
So you think it'll go that route? Streaming Hulu, Apple.
Yeah.
From that.
I don't know anymore. I just can't keep up to it. I'm not a streaming guy. I don't like any of this. I don't like YouTube. I can't stand it. I think it's too slow. I'm a Cox guy. I'm a DirecTV guy.
Yeah, same way.
But I understand people like it, but it seems like every month you hear, it just went up $10 or went up $20.
Yeah.
So YouTube went up again.
So
Continental
Netflix.
Tire. I didn't know there was Sunday Night Soccer. It's on Apple TV. Did you know there was Sunday Night Soccer?
No idea. No.
I saw that today. That Apple, and of course the streaming service, and they have an MLS season pass, so they have a Sunday night match every night. Like this first weekend, it starts the inaugural at San Diego against the LA Galaxy, and it's on the 23rd. I don't even know what time that is.
So you think of these professional leagues going to the streaming route. A lot of chat about the NFL streaming route. A lot of chat about you talk about.
Well,
it
they're
all the
already
time.
doing it. Amazon and
right. But I mean, as far as the Super Bowl, what have you, you think there'll become a time where we won't see anything over the air or on cable from sports standpoint?
For sports,
yeah.
No, I think we'll still have.
We'll still have it.
Yeah, I know ESPN is going to be coming out with some type of channel that's going to allow you to watch a game. All right, and then on the right-hand corner or left-hand corner, you'll be able to have streaming like YouTube. So you could see in real time instant reaction, or you could pop up a Twitter account, or you can pop up an X or whatever it may be. So you're actually watching the game and you have other additional streaming going on at the same time.
That'd be too much for me.
Yeah.
Just give me the game.
But people be all over it.
And the thing that I like with the Cox is the last, you go back and forth. With the streaming, I can't do that. Now,
well, you can, but it just takes.
It takes time. Yeah, you got to go out of
5 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah,
which is not a big deal. But
but last is just great.
Yeah,
going back and forth, 2 or 3 games.
So the Yankees shocked the world today, as they have dropped their long-standing facial hair ban, which means players now for the New York Yankees can grow out their beards. So Hal Steinbrenner, he made the announcement earlier this morning. I mean, it was a full press release, went out, statement from the Yankees managing general partner, Hal Steinbrenner, went into this whole new facial hair policy. And at the same time, by the way, they extended Aaron Boone's contract through 2027. Skipper.
I remember when Randy Johnson went to the Yankees, he had to shave that mustache. The story was, will Randy Johnson, will he get a haircut? Will he get rid of the mullet and shave the mustache? Well, yeah, he did. He had to. And when I think way back in the 70s when Thurman Munson was there and some of the other players, Joe Pepitone back in the late 60s, early 70s, I remember there was a while they had the long hair, but the thing about them, they never had the facial hair. So they had the long hair for a while, and now I think it's the hair and mustache and all the other things. I mean, they were like, if you're going to the Yankees, you got to be clean shaven.
Well, it started in 1976, and Hal's father, of course, George, he did that because he thought it would instill a sense of discipline amongst the players.
Yeah, because the last guy I can think of was, and Pepitone was before that, at first base with that long black hair. And even thinking back, Thurman Munson, when he was catching, God rest his soul, prior to, and that all came down. As a matter of fact, he was one of the guys that was like stood up to Steinbrenner, and Steinbrenner was like, look, you want to play for the Yankees or not? Yeah, I guess I'll go cut my hair.
One of my favorite players, Bryce Harper. You may like him or not like him, but he's a big part of the Phillies organization. He's coming off a 30 home run season, 87 RBI. Showed up to spring training with a brand new tattoo. Any idea what that tattoo is?
Wow. I'm just gonna say I'm HR. I'm gonna say for HR for home run. HRC, home run champ, something like that. HRC, home run champ.
Do you have Jax have any idea what it is?
I'm just in awe by Manuch's
response.
Answer
Yeah,
I don't think I want to give an answer.
Give an answer. You got to have something better than that.
I don't. No, I don't want to give something that's worse than that.
Connor,
I'm not going to give an answer.
Would you like to participate, Connor?
No, I'm going to let Manuch hold that one.
HRC, home run champ. Yeah, you don't like that, HRC?
He got a tattoo of the Philly Fanatic on his arm.
That's
how awesome is that?
I think HRC is better than the Philly Fanatic.
Really?
HRC,
If
home
you
run
are,
champ.
no, see, you've never had a team growing up to root for baseball.
That's St. Louis Cardinals all my entire life.
No, really? Yeah, name 5 guys on that team right now. No.
I can name that game the 68 World Series team.
I don't. Who cares? But my point is, how cool is that as a fan of a team, and he's invested.
Oh,
he's vested with
I get it.
The Philly Fanatic tattoo. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
even though he's played with Washington before he went to Philly.
What if he
that
gets
kind of
traded?
tells you? Maybe he's always going to be there.
Yeah.
Either way, that's a portion of his career that he's always doing stuff with the Philly Fanatic.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but I never said the Philly Fanatic. I mean, he gets traded. Now, if it's on the under, is it on the under side of his form or on the
right
top?
here. Yeah.
Good to toss it, Jack.
Like, you can always hide that.
All right, I'm being told I need to toss it to Jax. Here's Jax with another ESPN 620 Sports Update.
It's now time for your Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B's bottom of the hour ESPN 620 Sports Update. From Wright Toyota, I'm Jackson Groff. A Victor Wembanyama-less San Antonio Spurs defeated the Phoenix Suns last night 120-109, handing the Suns their 29th loss of the season. It was a disappointing homecoming for Kevin Durant, who played at his alma mater's arena at the University of Texas. Phoenix has now dropped 4 straight games in 8 of its last 10. The Suns will try to snap their skid on a 3-game road trip starting tomorrow in Chicago at 3 p.m., followed by matchups against the Toronto Raptors on Sunday at 4 p.m., and the Memphis Grizzlies on Tuesday night. Catch all the action on 98.7 FM and ArizonaSports.com. There are multiple ways to listen to us, ESPN 620 AM on FM at 98.7 HD2, and always streaming live on ArizonaSports.com. Please check out our show pages, like, comment, subscribe, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Just search Roc and Manuch, and also visit us at rockandmanuch.com.
Life's a sprint, and you need a quick pick-me-up. Meet
Nobody watches and studies games more than he does. From DocSports.com, here's Scott Spreitzer, exclusively on with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
All right, it's rivalry night in the Big Ten. The college basketball world, they will set their eyes on, unfortunately, Ann Arbor, Michigan. But you got a massive game tonight, number 12, Michigan against Michigan State, ranked number 14. Huge implications on the line in the Big Ten. Wolverines sit top of the Big Ten right now, 12-2. Spartans are half game behind at 12-3. Spread's only Michigan minus 2.5. Scott, let's start with that one. All eyes on the rivalry between the two Michigan schools.
Yeah, that game is all the way up to 3.5 in a lot of shops now. So Michigan has been getting the money thus far. I would say right now about half the books have 3, about half the books have 3.5. I actually like Michigan State here, and I don't want to take too much away from what Michigan has done this year, but they're escaping at home, and they turn the ball over too much. They're 330th in college basketball in offensive turnover percentage. And Michigan's last 4 home games, guys, resulted in a 2-point win over Purdue, 4-point win over Oregon, 4-point win over Penn State, and a 4-point win in overtime over Northwestern. And they trailed by double digits in the second half to Purdue. They trailed Penn State by 5 with 2 minutes to go, and they even trailed Northwestern late in the second half at home, too, before that win in overtime. So I think it's going to add up here to Michigan State busting through. I don't think Michigan can keep one of these games that go right down to the stretch at home every single game and coming away victorious. What Michigan has to do is push Michigan State outside of the deep perimeter. The Spartans are, they struggle on the offensive end when it comes to 3-point shooting. They have a tough time sinking trays. But again, Michigan's been involved in too many close calls for me at home, and I think State gets them here.
Scott, let's go to the BYU at Arizona game. Arizona minus 7.5. BYU crushed KU 91-57. I mean, they shot the lights. I don't think a lot of folks saw that. But with that, that game basically at Arizona, but U of A still minus 7.5. It has U of A lost, 2 in a row now, getting back on getting off the schneid.
Yeah, I think BYU faced a Kansas team that hit rock bottom, no doubt about it. Kansas was completely flat from the opening buzzer in that game, and we saw BYU jump out to a 25-14 lead, like not even 10 minutes into the first half, and then cruise to the win. BYU led in the second half of the meeting between them and Arizona a few weeks ago up in Provo, and then Arizona pulled away and won by 11. And the Cougars love to shoot the three. They're 14th in the country in 3-point to 2-point attempt ratio. They make a decent amount, about 37%. But U of A is excellent defending the deep perimeter. They held BYU to 10 of 34 in that earlier meeting. I look at the Cougars, they're 3-5 on the road, but they've only been this big of a dog once this season. That was to Houston back on January 4th. So BYU, they were going through a rough patch back there. They had lost a few games when they took on Houston and were getting a lot of points. I think Richie Saunders and Trevin Knell, who both make over 42% of their threes, can do enough to hang the number. I think Arizona wins the game outright, but I think BYU covers the 7.5-point spread.
I know we love to kind of give you a couple games that we want, and then we can kind of throw you on the spot. Can I kind of go off the screen, so to speak? They know the screen because he's got 100 screens in front of him.
He does.
And this just came up a little argument I had with someone who's just a diehard Purdue fan. And Purdue has lost 3 straight against all top teams. They're playing at Indiana. Can you handicap that one for me?
Yeah, I mean, I think Purdue's in a nice spot here. I mean, this game goes on Sunday, and Purdue will probably be about a 5-point road favorite, 4.5, 5. But I think they bounce back against the Hoosiers. If you look at what Purdue does, I mean, they lost those games. It wasn't like they were facing a bunch of chumps. They lost to Michigan, Wisconsin, and Michigan State. And the 2 Michigan games were on the road. Wisconsin is playing lights-out basketball right now, and believe it or not, is top 10 power rated. And that Wisconsin team, by the way, they were outside the top 40 to start the season. They're now inside the top 10. But Purdue's great on the offensive end still. They're 10th in adjusted efficiency. And as far as Indiana's concerned, they're not horrible, but they got a lame duck coach, and they've lost a bunch of games. I don't have it right in front of me, but I think it's 6 of their last 7 that they've lost. And they've lost at home. They've lost on the road. I don't think they're going to be able to hang the number here against Purdue. if Purdue had won those 3 games, I think this would be a tough spot, but I think they're going to be focused. Matt Painter will have them ready for Indiana.
And some of the other ones, the lines just now coming out. Number 6, Tennessee versus number 7, Texas A&M tomorrow, Scott. It looks like this was a Tennessee minus 1.5. Can it ever get to a pick'em situation there? The Tennessee on the road at A&M?
Yeah, I mean, it could. I mean, you could see it coming down a little bit. I actually was doing a show back east, and we were talking about this game last night, and I had actually said my power rating makes it 1.5. So it actually came out exactly where the power rating said it would. But and I also said something that a lot of people were going, who, what, where? I mentioned that Hank Iba would love this Volunteers team. And then I had to mention that if you're under 50, you better Google Hank Iba. But they play an extremely slow pace. They're, like 20th slowest in college basketball, nasty, stingy on defense, one of the top teams in basketball against the 3. I think they're top 5, top 11 or 12 defending the 2. I mean, this is one of those teams with Rick Barnes that you know what you're going to get. They're going to slow down the tempo. They're going to make you do things that are out of your comfort zone.
About 4 minutes.
Concerned. They're horrible as far as their accuracy on offense. And the best thing about A&M is their work on the glass, especially on the offensive end. But Tennessee's pretty solid on blocking out. When I was talking about this game last night, I pointed out that A&M has hit 50% of their 2-pointers just one time this entire month, 4 or 5 games. I think the Vols can be a bit shaky on the SEC road. I think they get the job done here. I'm not going to bet on it, but Tennessee 1.5 seems fair.
Scott, I went on the website, docsports.com, and I see that you are just on fire when it comes to the NBA. Is there a game or two that you like tonight or maybe tomorrow that you would want, me to look at?
Well, I actually laid 4 with the Pistons over the Spurs.
Ooh.
And it's not a big, metric analysis or anything here.
Okay.
It's just, the Spurs were inspired last night after they found out that Wembanyama is out for the season with that blood clot in his shoulder. It's nothing new to see an NBA team play their tails off the first night without that star player and then only to lose the next time out. And I believe that's going to be the case tonight. And even before Wemby was sidelined, the Spurs were struggling. They had won in coverage just 5 of their previous 18 games. And Detroit's underrated. I mean, they've played 670 basketball since the 3rd week of December. So I thought this was a solid spot for the Pistons laying the 4.5 guys tonight.
When you're looking at the Suns now, who've now lost 7 out of the last 8, 8 out of the last 10, 4 in a row. I think they're giving up close to 118 points per game in those losses, Scott. Everybody relatively healthy on the floor. How are you handicapping this Suns team right now? Here in Phoenix, we're like, if they make the play-in tournament, it'll be a minor miracle for them to make the play.
Which is why when I handicap their games, I try to keep an open mind. I try to find reasons why I would take or not take both teams that are involved in the game. I can't back Phoenix right now. It's either play the other side or stay away from the game. And you're right. I was watching the game, or not watching, but I was watching a couple of other games, and I kept checking in with all the scores, and I'm looking at San Antonio pulling away without a Wemby and winning that game by 11 last night. I'm thinking, okay, who didn't play for Phoenix? So then I jumped into the box score late last night. I'm like, well, Durant was out there. You had Booker and Jones out there. O'Neal and Richards are both out there. Richards not very long. But Beal had 19 off the bench. And I'm like, this team's just a mess right now.
They really are.
About 1.5 minutes.
So it's one of those things where I'm going to be looking to play against them. If I don't find enough reasons to play on their opponent night in and night out, then I'll stay away from the game. I mean, they've covered just 2 of their last, 8 games? So they're not just losing games. They've won 1 of their last 7 or 8. They're not just losing games, but they're failing to cover the spread too.
Scott, as always, buddy, thanks for the time. Have a great weekend.
All right, you guys too. Take care.
Scott Spreitzer, DocSports.com, and you can follow him at Scott Wins. So there you have it, some college and some NBA. He's brought to you today by our upcoming Fan Pick'em Bracket Contests, our March Mania that we do each and every year to win big prizes as we've teamed up with the 5 Valley Twin Peaks locations. So the madness is almost here. We hope that you'll fill out a bracket with us this year. It's coming up. We will get to our locks of the week. Got some football at 50 and tell you about National Margarita Day.
It's time for the guys to give you their locks of the weekend. Whether it's on the football field, basketball court, or even the baseball diamond, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B give their locks of the weekend to help put some money in your pockets. Now, the locks.
All right, brought to you by Upper Crust Pizza and Wine Bar in Phoenix, your Ohio State Alumni Club of Phoenix. They're at Cave Creek in the 101 next to Costco. All right, Jax, rewind last week.
Yeah, not a great week for us. Can't lie. Myself, I haven't hit a lock in 4 weeks. It's brutal. You know, I'll put my hand up. I'll start from the bottom, make our way up to the top. Connor was the only lone wolf last week. Had Houston money line against Arizona. He's 3-3. Manuch is 9-13. Had A&M to cover the 8.5 against Arkansas. They did not. Rock had ASU to beat and cover TCU by 6.5. They did not. I had Alabama money line against Auburn. They did not. So it's a new week. Hopefully we can hit some locks.
All right. I'm going to go against what Scott Spreitzer just said.
Saw that, Rock.
Spurs and Pistons. I just what I saw last night that you now, in my opinion, you finally get to see De'Aaron Fox play.
Wow.
And he looked awesome. And I think he is going to make a difference for this team. I know, Victor Wembany's out. Okay, that sucks. It really does. But, this Spurs team is not that far out of being in the playoff. So I'm going to just look at the De'Aaron Fox and say, all right, it's 5.5. I'll take the Spurs.
Yeah, they really stepped up. Fox was pretty much the show the last 5 minutes of that game.
He's like, all right, I'll start playing. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go with the Bucks are at the Wizards. Bucks are -5.5 at the Wizards, even though Portis is out, 25 games because of a PED. I'm going to go with that. I think the Wizards the Wizards are horrible. The Bucks should cruise. They should cover that with 5.5.
That was my lock until I saw you had it.
Yeah.
Because I was all ready. I didn't even look at the lineup yet. I'm like, all right, I have my notes. I'm like, I'm all over the Bucks. I think they're going to win by 12.
They should.
I even betted it myself on my app. I think that's a no-brainer.
I'm going to go Wisconsin -7.5 against Oregon. They play tomorrow around 11 a.m. This Wisconsin team is hot, and I mentioned on Monday for my G2G Protein Bar game changer, John Tunji continues the ball. Back-to-back 30-point games. I think this Oregon team's struggling right now to shoot the basketball. Should have lost to Iowa on Tuesday, so give me Wisconsin Badgers -7.5. Connor?
I'm going to be rolling with Marquette and the Golden Eagles. I'm taking Shaka Smart. This game is kind of a quasi-road game. They're going to the Wells Fargo Center there in Philly, but I think that they're going to be able to take out Villanova. I'm rolling with the Golden Eagles.
All right, there you have it. A little early, but we'll get to football at 50 as the NFL has come out and said they will investigate the allegations against Baltimore Ravens kicker Justin Tucker. He faces 16 allegations of sexual inappropriate behavior from local massage therapists. You can almost rewind the tape to the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson back in 2022. Similar deal. If you remember, the NFL appointed a judge that initially ruled that he would serve a 6-game suspension, but that was later changed to an 11-game suspension. He also had to pay $5 million. Oh! All right. 602-230-0620. It's our D-back spring training dingers. Whenever there's a dinger, you hear that sounder, and you are the 6th caller, and you win today. It's Wetzel's Pretzels. We'll hook you up big time. There's locations everywhere. Wetzel's Pretzels and baseball goes well. All right, Connor. So...
yeah, a little update here. At the bottom of the 5th, we had Vargas homering out to right field. 403 feet makes it a 6-5 score. Arizona over the Colorado Rockies.
There you have it. 602-230-0620. 6th caller.
Just that easy.
Yeah, why not? So going back to the allegations, how are you gonna? He can't get away with this one. There's too many accounts, too many women that have shared the same similarities to what happened to them.
It's eerie. I mean, where there's
really
smoke, there's fire. I mean, it's the pattern, like Deshaun Watson, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
That pattern, and as the NFL looked at it, as the authorities looked at it, it was all there was consistent. So all these women can't just corroborate their stories and all get together. But I think it's interesting how the NFL can do their own investigation. The authorities have their investigation. So it's like, okay, you got the NFL, who's also, by the way, working with the authorities to determine whether they should suspend somebody, fine them, or what have you, besides the law working with restitution in this case with Deshaun Watson. So that will probably fall along the same lines as Deshaun Watson, unfortunately.
You know, the interviews have already started. I mean, there's at least 3 women that interviewed this week, more than 90 minutes, detailed questions and interactions and all kinds of stuff with this deal. It's not good.
Well, when they connect the dots and they're all the same, that's when the authorities go, okay, we've got something here. The allegations are there, and they're all allegations, so they come out and prove it. Much like Deshaun Watson, I'm sure there'll be some settlements that'll be out there. And as Deshaun Watson said, well, we settled, but there's nothing to see here. Well, you settled for some reason. And for this, my thought process, will the Ravens bring him back? You know, he struggled last year.
Still the most accurate kicker of all time.
But he came on the last several games. He played, kicked very, very well. But, the Browns kept one Deshaun Watson. Of course, they're playing him a guaranteed money of about, $40 million a year. So they were forced to bring him back.
We're going to get into some college football at the top of the hour. Tennessee and Nebraska are canceling their upcoming football series, which was scheduled in 2026, not 10 years down the road, but in a year in Lincoln, and then 2027 in Knoxville. And we'll talk about why that happened and some of the effect of the SEC and the Big Ten, because there's a lot of questions, and maybe it's a bunch of smoke screens, but something that will be top of the hour. All right, random fact of the day. J.D. Power has released their 2025 U.S. Vehicle Dependability Study, and they analyzed the durability of 3-year-old cars from model year 2023. And Lexus was the top-ranking brand for the 3rd consecutive year, followed by Buick, Mazda, Toyota, and Cadillac. Volkswagen was last. Chrysler was next to worst, followed by Jeep, Audi, and Land Rover. The number 1 selling car for the first time is the Toyota RAV4.
Oh, the RAV4.
The RAV4.
I think last year was the Corolla, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think it was the Ford F-150.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I know Toyota Corolla was in there, but the Toyota. Yeah, I remember when I got my Toyota Corolla here, Wright Toyota, trying to get a RAV4 some 5 years ago. You couldn't, as soon as they got on the lot, Rock, used and or new, they were gone. They were snatched up quickly.
So the RAV4, yep, yeah, I'm right. It was the F-150 that it beat out. So that's pretty big.
It's huge. I thought my Corolla was in there last few years, one way or the other. But I think the
probably top 10.
Attention, the Lexus and Toyota was Lexus 1, Toyota was 4, correct? Same make, same pretty much the Toyota maker.
So F-150's been the top selling truck car since 2009. 2009. Or it was the Toyota Camry, but that's 2009.
Okay.
So the RAV4 to be able to pass the F-150 is pretty big.
Well, I know
if you're in the market for a new car here, Toyota.
4 minutes.
Toyota, so
get the RAV4.
That's all I got. That's your random fact of the day. Again, D-backs are underway. They are in the top of the 6th inning. They're up bottom of the 6th inning. They're up 6-5. Corbin Barnes opened up the game and struck out the side. How awesome is that to start?
3 up, 3 down.
We'll catch up with Tom Candiotti in the next hour. We will also talk some NFL football with James Jones, the former receiver for the Raiders and the Packers, also part of the facility on Fox Sports every morning. I believe it's 7 o'clock. I think that starts in the morning.
Right there. Curious
You wouldn't know. What do you mean? How would you know?
I've seen the facility.
You're never up at 7 in the
I
morning.
usually about 7:38ish. I'm usually up and at 'em.
Whatever.
I don't turn TV on. I'm one of those guys that I get up. I like it quiet. I go to my office, start doing stuff.
Yeah, what do you do? I mean, I'm curious.
Get up, get my cup of coffee, go in the office, start pull a lineup on.
You put the slippers on?
I get the slippers on.
There is no way.
Slippers, yeah.
There is no way the lineup is up at 7:30 because I had the lineup going at 5 to at least 9. And no way. And then we have a shared drive. I know who's on. There's no D for Dan.
No, I get
that's ever on there. So don't even. I've seen Jimmy before you.
I'll get on there probably right around 8:39ish, right there at that time frame. But I get up, start looking at stuff on the web, ESPN, kind of perusing through, catching up on doing my scheduling and that type of stuff. So I'm up and at 'em. I may not be on the lineup, but by the time I get on the lineup, some of the stuff is there, not all of it there.
Hey, the Saints hired former Chargers head coach today, Brandon Staley, as their DC.
Good hire. He's a good defensive coordinator. Horrible as head coach. I mean, some of his game planning and clock management, some of the worst. But now,
Kellen Moore, who's the Saints coach now, of course, came over from Philadelphia Eagles. He was able to get their quarterbacks coach for the Eagles too.
Pass game coordinator, quarterback coach.
Yeah, like how?
How
would the Eagles allow that?
Well, if it's an upgrade for a guy, that's one thing. If it's an upgrade in pay, an upgrade in the way that they classify it. So if he was the quarterback coach, passing game coordinator, if he upgraded him to the offensive coordinator, Rock, that's the upgrade that he's going to get. So money-wise and then status-wise.
But the Eagles' offensive coordinator job was open. I'm surprised the Eagles didn't just replace Moore with Nussmeier.
With Nussmeier. I don't know. That's interesting that happened. I mean, he's got the passing coordinator plus he brought the guy in for the offensive coordinator. So, yeah, and I think a lot of that being together for so many years is part of it too. So those are some of the things you take a look at. But Sirianni said, hey, best of luck to you. I wish you good luck. I'm just very interested to see, and Kellen Moore, by the way, he'll be calling the plays for the Saints, to see how he coordinates his play calling versus the limited amount of players that they have. As far as how he can do it.
Got to tell you, man, we're making a run on women listening to the program.
Yeah?
We've given away more prizes over the last few weeks, tickets and things like that.
Thanks for tuning in, ladies.
Yeah,
we
Mary
appreciate
Norwood,
that.
congrats. You won our Wetzels. So we'll get that out to you next week. Appreciate you listening. By the way, our State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day. Do you feel after the Suns' loss to a shorthanded Spurs team last night, they have a chance now to make the play-in tournament? Your choices are 1 is no way, 2 is yes, but very slim, or 3, yes, it's only one game. So we'll get you caught up in that, or get you some results next. We got some college football to get into next. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B from Wright Toyota here on ESPN 620.
It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy on
No hockey rejoiner here. Just straight to you guys after.
FM HD2 and streaming live at ArizonaSports.com. The guys are powered by the law offices of Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. And now on your ESPN
Mics are hot.
ESPN 620, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Hope you're having a good Friday afternoon. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. Rock, along with Manuch, with you out here at Right Toe. We got Jax, we got Connor back at the ESPN 620 studios. When's the XFL start? Or UFL?
Right around the corner.
Whatever it is. What is it?
Training camp. It's USFL. Training camp starts, I believe, in 2 weeks. I just talked to Bryce Perkins, who's going to be the quarterback for the Michigan Panthers.
Oh.
He said he's going back to play for the Panthers. So I'm thinking they're going to training camp in a couple of weeks. And then they start the season, I think, either in April time frame, UFL.
It was March. I thought it would be like, okay, let's start talking about it.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we'll be getting Bryce on next
March
week.
28th, the UFL starts.
Yeah.
And if is there an XFL too? I can't keep
No,
track
so
it's just UFL. They blended them.
Blend them all together. USFL, XFL are now one.
All right, so I'm reading here. All right, so 4 teams came from the XFL, 3 came from the USFL. Yeah, USFL. I forgot about that one too.
So they blended them. They brought them all together.
Ken Wisenhunt, head coach of the Memphis Showboats. Bob Stoops, Arlington Renegades. Wade Phillips, San Antonio. Skip Holtz, Birmingham. It's big-time coaches. Mike Nolan with Michigan.
Yes, yeah.
Anthony Beck with St. Louis. You're the Battlehawks.
Yes. I think wasn't Fisher?
I think he did. I don't know
he
where
was.
He went. Yeah.
And I knew that there are a couple other guys that are being recycled for the league. I know that my good buddy Jim Haslett will not be going back to Seattle as Jim Zorn taking it over there in Seattle.
Jim Zorn.
He took over last year for Jim.
Love that guy. That was like he was like him and Largent were like the only guys you knew that played for
exactly
Seattle.
Right.
If you grew up on the East Coast,
yeah.
Like you just didn't know who these guys.
I remember Zorn, Largent, and they had a fullback named Dan Hughes, who was out of the Big Ten, I believe, and he was one of those guys. And if you were a college player coming out, Seattle was kind of like the place to go because those guys would come in, work you out because we didn't have any combine, so they'd work you out. But you went, oh wow, if we could play in the Kingdome in Seattle, great place to go, great place to visit, great place to play. And that was an up and coming team. I think they started in '76, but Zorn, Largent, and a few of the other guys. But brand new franchise. You'd love to go into Seattle.
So it looks as though it's going to happen. I think it will. I think we'd all agree that the college football playoff will expand from 12 teams. It was such a success the first year, even though we had a bunch of blowouts in the first round. But the quarters, the semis, of course, the national championship game were all tremendous. Ohio State, the national title winner, as we all know. So now they're looking at, expanding it to 14 teams. I wish they could kind of figure it out sooner than later because I don't think they can get it for this upcoming season, but if they can at least definitely lock it in for 2026, I think we would be happy. At least we can look towards that happening.
Well, then you got the Big Ten, SEC want to have
4 automatic bids.
4 automatic bids, and then the rest of them, and they want to have it. They want to do the seeding just as the top ranked teams. So the top, say it's 16, the top 16 ranked teams, and not giving the credit or credence to the conference champions. So they're not going to have the conference champions, which they talked about the 4 buys that they had. And then I think all of them but one, the ASU lost their games in those buys, that they want to make the top 16 or top 14, whatever it is. So it's almost as if, if you're not going to give any credence for the conference champions, what they'd have to do then, Rock, is, okay, if you win your conference championship, what's your new ranking? So if you're Penn State and you're ranked number 4 in the nation, you're taking on number 10, Ohio State, and you beat them for the conference champion. So at what point, does that, number one, a lot of times teams that lose, it doesn't hinder their ranking. But if you move up to number 2 or number 3 or number 4, number 3 or number 2, at that point, they want that ranking to be the seeding. And I'm not quite so fond of something like that because you might have somebody that's ranked number 12 that's got 3 losses. Let's take like Alabama. So that's what the SEC is moaning about as well. if Alabama would have ranked number 12, they got 3 losses, they still should have been in the playoffs. Let's say number 13. So they're expanding it. They wanting more credence to the rankings versus the conference championships, or maybe even non-conference schedule. So it's kind of it's having their cake and eat it too. But at some point, the committee's got to figure out what's fair and how they set that up if they go down that road.
What are your thoughts? Ryan Day came out earlier this week and said that he feels that there should not be a bye for the conference champions.
I would agree with that.
They think they need to rethink that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of that's the one thing they got into is that was part of the ranking and no buys for the conference champions. So, and I will say this:
when you had to take on Tennessee,
yeah, but I mean, here's the
opening matchup,
right? But the thing was, the teams that I think all but one their bye. So
all of them lost.
Yeah, they all lost.
It was Boise State, Arizona State, Oregon, Georgia.
So it helped those that have played prior to than the ones that had the bye. And
I don't know if there's a better way to do the draw. I memean, if Ohio State has to open up in Tennessee, then they got Oregon waiting for them because Oregon was number 1 seed, so they got the bye.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing about that: Ohio State was hot. They stayed hot throughout the playoffs. So you get the bye if you're hot or you're playing well. I mean, it's hard enough for the pro football players to have that bye week, and then you get the time off to heal and to kind of gather stuff. But sometimes it takes a while to get back in gear, so to speak. And so for the college guys to have that whole week off, and you could see it took even ASU a while to get into gear. Where here comes Texas. They're playing pretty well, and they've already hit. They've kind of knocked the bugs off, so to speak. That's the only thing I can think of.
Think about this though: if the Buckeyes didn't get a bye, and under Day's format, they would have opened at home with Arizona State.
But a hell of a game. I mean, they probably would have still won, but you never know the way ASU is playing. I just think that I would hope that at some point, whether they settle on the 12 teams, the 14, the 6, whatever, just stick with the format and stop tweaking it year in and year out and stop adhering to what the SEC and Big Ten wants. I understand what they're saying that, well, let's go with the top ranked 16 and let's seed them that way. Okay, if that's the way it's going to be, then everybody's got to understand if you're going to have a non-conference schedule with your regular conference schedule and your ranking is going to be affected by who you're playing, then you're going to have to start either scheduling tougher non-conference foes to make sure that if you lose, then you keep your ranking to a no more than 1 or 2.
All right, but Manuch, there's also a side of that people are saying, hey, softer schedules are fine. It's not going to matter. It's all about the win-loss. That the strength of schedule doesn't weigh in.
I disagree. They got to look at
true though. I mean, that's what they should do. All right, then tell me why Nebraska, Tennessee, the home and home, for 2026, 2027, Nebraska opted out. They opted out
because they know that Tennessee probably kicked their butt, and they would hurt their.
That's my point.
Yeah, but I mean,
do you know who they replaced them with?
Who they replaced Nebraska? Who Nebraska replaced Tennessee with? Bangor, Maine Tech,
Bowling Green,
please.
Miami of Ohio.
But Brock, don't you think the committee would look at those that you beat? You beat Bowling Green over Tennessee.
But if you lose to them,
well, that hurts
then
you.
You're done.
Yeah, it is.
But if you beat Bowling Green, you're set. That's a W. You can always assume that's a W.
I mean, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois last year, so I mean anything can happen. But
that is
most likely
that's a unicorn.
100%.
How many times does something like that happen against a Mid-American Conference? Yeah, now come on.
But
for the Cornhuskers to basically, all right, say, hey, we're not going to take on Tennessee next year or the year after. It's supposed to be in Lincoln, and they go to Knoxville, and they replaced it with 2 MAC schools.
Well, here's the thing.
How can you not read into it that way?
I understand what you're saying, Robert. Nebraska's been down, so they're going, hey, look, there's no way we can beat Tennessee right now. So we'll take on Bowling Green. And hell, Bowling Green could probably beat Nebraska the way they're down right now. But I don't think Nebraska's going to be in the hunt for any kind of championship anytime soon in the Big Ten. I just don't see it.
The thing, too, is, they're coming out saying, oh, we're renovating our stadium.
So what?
So we may not be able to bring in as many people for the Tennessee game. Come on. They'd sell out every game in Lincoln. That doesn't matter. Not to mention, aren't you paying, like $500,000 to $1 million for a MAC school to come to Nebraska?
Absolutely. The contradiction there is in Nebraska is saying we're going to box out Tennessee next year because we don't want to get our butts kicked, 52-7 with Tennessee coming into our place. And then us going there.
Jax, I want to try to see if you could find something for me because I've seen two reports. One report says Nebraska has to pay $500,000 to get out of the agreement. Then I saw another report that said it's $50,000 is how much Nebraska would have to pay to cancel the home and home against Tennessee. So if it's $500,000 and they're saying, all right, it's because of renovations, come on, give me
not buying it.
It's a joke. There are a lot of people online today that are a little upset that the Big Ten has announced today that their media days will not be held in Indianapolis. They will be held in Las Vegas, where there are no Big Ten schools in that state.
Is it?
You guys are good to talk.
It's interesting. Okay, is it just going to be a destination to go have a boondoggle while you do your Big Ten media days? And you go get Indianapolis where everybody comes to. But I think that there may be a lot of schools or conferences start doing that. Let's go to Vegas, have our convention, get together, have media days. It's better than going to Indianapolis. A lot more to do.
Indianapolis is a pretty cool town.
Yeah, I know it is, but Vegas is Vegas.
Coming up, we're going to catch up with Diamondbacks radio analyst Tom Caniati. He'll have the call tomorrow, as you'll be able to hear that here at 1:10 on ESPN 620. But we'll talk about this rotation along with the offense as we continue on from Wright Toyota. This is Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B now on ESPN 620 and 98.7 HD2.
That's 977-1900.
Turner and Rope is the way to go. Call 977-1900. 977-1900.
At Vans Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf, it's the tailor-made fitting event and bonus trade-in event this February 20th through 23rd. The new tailor-made QI35 driver unlocks a new level of distance and forgiveness. And take advantage of the 50% bonus trade-in event towards your new purchase. Swing into Vans Golf Shops or book your fitting online at worldwidegolf.com. Proudly serving golfers since 1963 and home to the legendary 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee. Get there.
Arizona's headquarters for Toyotas is Wright Toyota. Hey, Rock, for my friends at Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. You will always find the right deal at Wright Toyota. Wright Toyota has been driving Arizona's home for years with their amazing service, pricing, and great selections. I encourage you to discover the difference at Wright Toyota. Make the right choice, Wright Toyota, just off the 101 on Franklin Wright Boulevard, and always online at wrighttoyota.com. The right price, the right selection. Check out wrighttoyota.com.
Hey, it's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. You know us for delicious family dinners and huge party pizzas. But did you know we are great at feeding a large group too? Our full catering menu has a ton of variety, so everyone will find something they love. And the best part? We don't charge per head. Just tell us how many people you need to feed, and we'll handle the rest. Check out our catering menu at venezias.com. That's venezias.com. Venezias, a family and catering tradition.
It's a knuckleball.
I mean, that ball, he sees it, it's in the middle of the plate at one point, and then see you later.
Candyman. The Candyman can.
Candiotti just continues to throw slower and slower every inning. Gravity's going to take over pretty soon. The ball's not going to make it to home plate.
An air strike 3. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. The Candyman can.
Tom Candiotti now joins us now on ESPN 620. You know, Tom, you've been with us for a long time, and we've been now on our 15th station, I think, and every time we've gone to a new station, now we're at the same home you are for Diamondback games and 98.7 and ESPN 620. But we still have the best open in sports. Wouldn't you agree? The best open.
You know, I know it's baseball season once I hear that.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Brings back chills.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Well, hey, you know, I want to throw this at you. Can you make an argument that last year's Diamondbacks version of the Diamondbacks was in some sense better than the 2023? And even that 2023 was a pretty, you know, the fact that they went to the World Series. But on paper, and you look at runs scored and some of the other things, that team was really good last year. They really had some really good, they put up some serious numbers.
The offense was really tremendous. I mean, It was runs every single game, and it just wasn't like the big blowout games. I mean, they were consistently scoring, you know, and this was really without Corbin Carroll having, you know, the type of year that we kind of expected, you know, but Marte was fantastic. I mean, all the way down. I mean, McCarthy really had a nice comeback season, you know, getting on base and stealing bases. You know, it was really fun to watch. But what happened last year is, you know, for whatever reason, you didn't have your 1A and B starters there, Gallen and Kelly, you know, really pitching up to their potential. We saw glimpses of it and for a little short, you know, spurts of time, but like not overall, you know, like they had pitched the year before. And I think, you know, that put a lot of stress on the bullpen. The bullpen wasn't real good. They were trying to figure that one out. It seemed like it was all year, you know, and it was nice getting A.J. Puck, who really came in. You're starting to see maybe the emergence of Justin Martinez. You know, he had his moments too, but you could still see that he's still a little bit raw as he, you know, he tumbled a few times. But overall, I think going into this season now, I think the young guys that we were talking about from, you know, 2 years ago, last year, I think, you know, with a couple seasons under their belt, I think you're going to see more consistent players. I think they know what they need to do in order to succeed out there. I think Torrey and the coaching staff has a lot more feel for what, you know, they can ask them to do and things. So I'm pretty excited about it. You know, I would just listen to the start of the game and just, you know, listening to Corbin Burns strike out the side. And that was a nice one to also start the Cactus League off on.
Heck yeah. Okay, we'll get into pitching, but let's stay on that offense. Marte had a massive year, 36 dingers. You throw in Suarez's 30. But now you lose Walker and Jock Peterson, who combined, I think they were 49 or 50. How do you replace that? I know, you know, you make a nice trade with Nair, who I believe hit 30-31 in Cleveland. Who's going to step up to fill that?
Well, I think Naylor is going to be himself. You know, I think he's going to have plenty of RBI opportunities, and he's not going to have to hit in the freezing cold weather of Cleveland. Yeah. Trust me, I know, what that's like for the first couple, you know, months of the season. You know, it's going to be, you know, 80 degrees, and he's going to be feeling really good. So that's probably only going to add, you know, to his, to his offense. And, you know, so I'm not really that worried about, you know, Josh's offense at all. You know, Marte, you know, that's a big season to try to repeat. You know, hopefully he can get, you know, somewhere close to that. He certainly, you know, has that type of talent. You know, so I think a lot of it is if Corbin can kind of be the player that we saw towards the end of the year, you know, the second half of the season anyway. And I think it'll be interesting to see, you know, if Gurriel can keep. Remember how he started off last year? How, like, you know, just electric he was, hitting home runs, driving runs in, and then he went into a big lull, and that kind of hurt a little bit. And almost the other way around was Suarez, who really started off bad, you know, traditionally, which is what he does, and then he got about as hot as anybody in baseball. So you kind of want to see that consistent scoring throughout, but they're very capable of being able to swing the bats really with anybody in the league.
So, Tom, I guess the $64,000 question would be for Pavin Smith. Where do you see him? Is he the DH? Can he handle that day in and day out? Can we see the production that we would see periodically out of this young man? We'll be able to pick up, as Rock alluded to, the Jock Petersons of the world, or if Naylor was to go the DH and Smith goes and plays first base, will we see more, or do we need to see more consistency out of Pavin Smith?
Well, the one thing we know about Pavin is he can hit. He might be a little challenged defensively, wherever you put him, but, he's gotten better, over the last, few years, putting a little bit more emphasis on his defense. But I think, with him just being the DH, at least the left-handed DH, and maybe you can run Grichuk or Mancini out there to be the right-handed DH, depending on, the pitcher and stuff. So Pavin, you got to remember, when we were in the World Series, he was our DH. Mm-hmm. So he's done it in the biggest, the biggest stage, really. And so I just know I've seen him so many times get hot, get hit. It doesn't matter. He handles the bat really well. So I think once you give a guy like that the role, and he knows this is what he's going to do, almost like you did with, Peterson last year, he knew he was going to be the DH, especially against right-handed pitchers. If Pavin, it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. I think he'll be pretty good.
And so Jordan Lawler, what's the game plan for him? Here's the top pick a few years ago, often injured, understand it at spring training. He's playing very, very well. Do you give him a chance to battle it out with Suarez at third base, or you just get him ready, get a lot of at-bats, and send him down to keep him tweaked?
Well, I think you got to see, what he's bringing to the table. I think spring training will be a big time for Jordan. He hasn't quite done it yet. And, we know the talent. They put obviously a high draft pick on him. And, they're expecting, to be able to, to get some benefit out of that. And so you're just kind of waiting for him to mature, the right way. And, both on the defense and also offensively, if he can get to that point, then there could be a competition, right? Suarez is really steady defensively. The guy, I don't know if I've ever seen him make a bad throw. I mean, he is just on the money with it. If he gets to it, he's going to catch it. Maybe he doesn't have the greatest range at third base, but he's steady. So if Jordan can get to a place where he can, really be able to use his athleticism, being a younger kid with some great range and a great arm, if he can get there, with his bat, then, I could see a competition going on for sure.
Tom Candy, how do you join Roc and Manuch here on ESPN 620? Candy, when you look at the pitching, one of the, to me, what I thought was somewhat shocking is when they fired the pitching coach, Brent Strom, who, of course, has been a heck of a coach, did so many things with so many different organizations, specifically Houston. They bring in this guy, Brian Kaplan, who was the assistant pitching coach and director of pitching for the Phillies. I believe I'm doing some homework on him. He's got some kind of sports performance deal that he's put together. He's co-founded or whatever that's had the less success. Were you somewhat surprised that, they let him go, and then now they've just, or maybe you can answer this, why did they let him go, you think?
Yeah, I don't know. That's all the front office thing there.
Yeah.
And you got to look at salaries and all that kind of stuff. But it, from what I've what I've heard is that they're really excited about this guy. He's very, motivated for it. And sometimes, that's a big thing.
Sure.
Is, getting excited about your job, not getting complacent in it, and, bringing some new ideas, which I think they had. And let's face it, the pitching staff was pretty underwhelming last year.
Yeah.
And so, what do? You can't fire all the pitchers, right?
Yeah.
And I know I've talked to Corbin Burns about this guy, and he really likes him. And so does Gallen, and so does Merrill Kelly. So we'll see how it goes throughout the season. And I just know, like, when I look at the staff overall, I see the starters all being like, they probably don't need to be coached that much. They're not veteran guys. They're on the verge of being veteran guys, and they have a lot of depth there. But I think where he's going to make his impact is probably going to be some of the bullpen arms.
Okay.
And how the bullpen gets used, because, that was a big concern last year of all the innings that they had to pitch and without the starters, and kind of mentioned earlier, not really having the type of year they had the year before, not maybe getting as deep in games, that bullpen got taxed a little bit. So, we'll see, what his ideas are with that, and, how he works with Torrey and in the training staff.
How long do you think it'll take Skipper to name a closer?
Boy, I don't know. That's the one thing that everyone's watching, right? Yes. In spring training, who's going to be that guy? Mm-hmm. It's really hard. They've had some guys with experience down there. Ginkle's had some experience closing. AJ Puck did a good job. He's got some experience. I mean, they have. Martinez has got that experience. I mean, they have guys. But you don't have that. That knockdown close, that Josh Hader or guys like that are just going to. This is my ball. This is my time. Game's over. So, it could be that, Torrey's going to maybe play the matchups a little bit early on just to see. And it'll kind of straighten itself out, I think.
Tom, I've got about a minute here. What's the next step for Brandon Pfaadt? Because you got Burns, Gallen, Kelly, then Pfaadt or Rodriguez. But for Pfaadt, what's the next step in his game?
I love Brandon Pfaadt. I think this kid, he takes the ball. He's a strike thrower. He just goes right after. I think where he gets hurt is with that sweeper, which is so effective against righties. But it's not a pitch that really changes planes. It's a lateral pitch, and so it's if you're keeping that over the middle of the plate, that's where he gets burned, and especially against lefties, as that ball's kind of coming into their power out place. And so if he can learn how to keep that on the back door or put it on the inside, and he really started going to a changeup and a two-seamer last year, which I think really helped him against lefties. And so I'm hoping that he can just put all that together. And if he can, he could be really good, but they have depth, they have depth.
About a minute and a half left, then I'll go to Jackson.
Nelson, I love that kid. That kid he might have been their best pitcher for about 6 weeks last year. And, when he got hurt, I thought that was a big blow to the team, the way he was throwing. So, he's another capable guy. So, it's, there's a lot of possibilities, no doubt about it. And I think it'll come down to, really who's throwing the best.
So are you ready to go tomorrow? Are you on the call tomorrow here on ESPN 620 for Diamondbacks broadcast?
Yeah, ready to go.
All right. We'll be listening.
Game, now as we speak, and listen to Corbin's, first 3 punch outs. I thought it was great.
How about that?
So, we're ready to roll.
Oh, we love it. Baseball season is back. Hey, Tom, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
You got it, man. Talk to you later.
Tom Candiotti. You'll be able to hear him tomorrow right here on ESPN 620, D-backs Rockies from Salt River Field. So good stuff. You can follow him on Twitter at Tom Candiotti.
Coming to you, Jackson, 30 seconds.
By All City Towing. And they are hiring. Yes, they are hiring dispatchers, call takers, lot attendants, drivers. The list goes on and on. Great benefits, employee paid life insurance, monthly fuel allowance. I could go on and on that as well. But check it out for yourself. If you're ready to take your career to the next level, go to allcitytowing.com. That's All City Towing, where your future is on the move. We're out here at Wright Toyota. We'll continue. It's ESPN 620 and on FM at 98.7 HD2.
It's now time for your Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B's bottom of the hour ESPN 620 Sports update from Wright Toyota. I'm Jackson Groff. The Arizona Diamondbacks kicked off spring training today against the Colorado Rockies. Current score 6-6, bottom of the 8th inning with 1 out. The Arizona Diamondbacks look to take care of business in spring training there. A team that's not take care of business, the Phoenix Suns last night, 120-109 against the San Antonio Spurs. The Suns will look to
30 seconds.
Continue to get off the skid with a 3-game road trip starting tomorrow in Chicago at 3 p.m., followed by matchups against the Toronto Raptors on Sunday and the Memphis Grizzlies on Tuesday night. Catch all the action on 98.7 FM and ArizonaSports.com. There are multiple ways to listen to us: ESPN 620 AM, on FM at 98.7 HD2, and always streaming live on ArizonaSports.com. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on all our show pages: YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
And the guys are live from Wright Toyota. Right on the corner, right on the price. Wright Toyota, located at 77th Street and Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in Scottsdale. Now back to the guys on ESPN 620.
All right, he's part of the facility. Great show on Fox. I watch it every single day. Former receiver for the Green Bay Packers and the Raiders, James Jones, joins us now on ESPN 620. How we doing, James? What's going on? How's your Friday?
How we doing, Coach?
What up, fellas? Man, I see y'all moving on up to the east side, huh?
Yeah. Not like you, man. We got the faces for radio, so we don't have those nice suits. And hey, let me ask you, though. I watch your show every day, all right? And as much as I can when it's on. But is it cold in that studio? You guys are always wearing jackets. What's up with that? It's just a styling thing?
Man, it's ice cold in there, and we blame Acho, man. Acho got it ice cold in there. The AC pumped all the way up like we playing in Green Bay, Wisconsin, man. I'm like, bro, we're in LA, man. Turn this AC off, but it be ice cold. People got blankets and heaters, all that. We just extra soft now that we done playing.
I saw the other day, I'm like, you had like a winter coat on, and I'm like, man, it must be cold in there. I'm like, what is going on? Where is?
And
God.
I invented the hoodie. I'm never gonna be.
True.
I'm never gonna be not. I'm never being cold anymore. I invented the hoodie. But No, the studios is in L.A., man. Fox Studios is in L.A. and really close by Culver City.
So you're commuting and you're coaching. I mean, you got a lot on your plate right now.
Yeah, I'm commuting. I'm coaching. I'm coaching my two boys. I'm the Chandler Bears, and I'm helping out at Chandler High School. You know what I mean? Just trying to get back to these kids. But yeah, I fly back and forth a couple of days, and obviously I'm here on the weekends.
Yeah.
You know, this chemistry with you guys on the set like that. I mean, you guys do a good job of agreeing to just basically disagree. So, after it's all said and done, are you winning most of those disagreements? 90% of the time, there, James?
Well, we got a saying on the show that LaShawn McCoy is never wrong, because that's how he approaches everything.
I can see that.
But I will tend to lean towards me saying that I am always right.
Hey, after it's all said and done, watching the Super Bowl and just watching the Eagles just basically dominate, for teams that are trying to get to the next level, let's just say the Cardinals or even the Jaguars down the road, what was the commonality with both those teams this year, James, that a lot of teams could learn from?
Well, number one, you need a little luck on your side, number one.
Okay.
Number two, you need players that are not making a lot of money to have big-time impact. And you need solid quarterback play, but the main thing is you need to stay healthy. The Philadelphia Eagles, for the most part, all year long, was extremely healthy. That is number one. So you go during the whole season, you don't have a lot of key injuries, you're able to go make a good push at it. You had really good young players and veteran players that weren't making a lot of money that played at an all-pro, Pro Bowl level. And that's how you build championship football teams, man. When we won the Super Bowl in Green Bay, we had a lot of guys that were on their first contract that contributed big time, that had big time years and all that, on top of the other guys staying healthy and the other guys having big time years that was already superstars. So you need a little luck, man. You need those guys that's not making a lot of money to play at a high level, and you got to stay healthy, man. And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles did this year, man. And I thought they were the dominant team all year long. I definitely wasn't surprised that the Super Bowl went that way.
You know, and I remember that wild card year you guys won the Super Bowl. You guys started off very rough, but you got healthy. You felt, was it Starks or Sparks, running back, came in, but you guys got hot at the right time, and you got it in the wild card game, and you took it all the way through to the Super Bowl. How much does that play into effect, getting hot at the right time as well, too?
Oh, man, you can't say it any better than that. That's another key point to it all, too. Playing your best football at the right time. To be honest with you, Jalen Hurts was up and down all year long, but the last two games that mattered most, he played at an elite level, and he played his best football at the right time. And when you watch the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they were 15-1 under Patrick Mahomes, because I don't count the other game they lost with Carson Wentz, they weren't playing really good football all year long. You know what I'm saying? They were playing up and down football, just finding ways to win games. But getting hot at the right time, that matters so much, because you got to go on a run. You got to win 2 to 3 games in a row. And getting hot at the right time, man, you know what I'm saying, that plays a big factor in winning championships.
Hey, James, what was it that caught up? I mean, I agree with you with the Chiefs. I mean, they blocked field goal here, missed field goal there. Were they on borrowed time for a big game, or what was it they just never got that, besides, you know, the 4-minute rushing, but what caught up to them eventually, you think?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I think injuries caught up to him a little bit. The whole year you were without Hollywood Brown, you know, Isaiah Pacheco trying to fight his way back, and, you know, he wasn't really the same and didn't have the same role when he came back, so their running game wasn't like that. You lose Rashid Rice, so it's hard to replace him, and then you got just an older Travis Kelce who's not moving the way he used to move anymore. So I think they were, you know, they're a really good football team. They're well coached. They still have a really good defense. So they were just really gutting out wins off of the quarterback making the final play of the game, or the defense making the final play of the game to win football games. But they are not really, when you look at their roster from top to bottom, they're not really a super talented roster from top to bottom.
About 2 more minutes.
Not up to them in the Super Bowl.
James Jones joining us here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, ESPN 620 Phoenix. All right, so you played with him, Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to play another year?
Where's he going, James?
Man, I'm praying that he plays another year. I do not want to see him retire because I do not want to see him go out like that. And that's just me talking as his brother and talking selfishly. I do not want to see him go out. And I'm not even saying like that because I don't think people understand. This is a 40-year-old quarterback off an Achilles injury, and he threw for almost 4,000 yards and 28 touchdowns. If this was any other quarterback, we would be talking about what a year. But since he did not have the wins over there at the Jets, everybody wants to bash Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers can still play this game at a high level. I know he can. I want to see him go out with a bang, and that don't necessarily mean Super Bowl, but at least a playoff appearance and having an opportunity to go compete. So selfishly, as a brother and as a teammate of him, I want to see him play one more year. I don't want to see him go out like that, but we'll see the decision he makes. I talked to him a little bit, but I have not talked to him about like where he's going, where he's thinking of going. It's really just, friendship, checking up on him, man, making sure you're all good.
How long do you think it's going to take for him to make his decision if he is going to play?
Not long.
No?
Not long.
Do you think
I think this year it'll be.
How many teams do you think? How many teams do you think, James, are out there that would make some sense? And one more on top of that. Could there be any scenario that he could come to Arizona and be here? And I know he doesn't want to be a backup, but even challenge Kyler because they need it. They need his backup, but maybe just somebody to lay the match.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Yeah.
Arizona would be out, and to be honest with you, I don't even want him to come to Arizona. Number one, I feel like right now. Number one, I feel like right now where Aaron Rodgers is in his career, I feel like Kyler Murray is a better option. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Number two, I think the teams that make the most sense, the Minnesota Vikings is number one for me.
All right.
The Pittsburgh Steelers is number two for me. And I'm hearing a whole lot out of Los Angeles that they are thinking about moving Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers and his team really love L.A., and that can be a possible move if they move Matthew Stafford because they don't want to pay him $45-50 million a year. And if they move him, Aaron Rodgers could be a true option for the Los Angeles Rams. And then my last one is, man, sit Brock Purdy on ice for just 1 year and see how far you could go with Aaron Rodgers and San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, Coach Manucci, who trains Brock, is not happy about that one there, James.
Everybody has their opinion, James. We can just agree to disagree on that one.
And we are still gonna be friends even if we disagree, man. Coffee on me. We have no hard feelings. That's just me throwing it out there. You know what I'm saying?
I love
if I was the Niners, I'm not saying it's an easy decision at all because Brock has played well. I'm just saying those are
good to talk
for options.
So just real quick, what do you think Brock's number will be when they extend him here, hopefully real soon? What do you think per year?
Well, I don't think Brock Purdy is in the elite conversation of the quarterbacks yet. Right. I don't. I think he can be a heck of a football player, but I don't think he's in that elite conversation yet. But to be honest with you, Manuch, you know how it goes. It don't matter if you think he's in that elite conversation. If he's the next man up, that's the number.
Yeah.
You see guys like Tua. You see guys like Trevor Lawrence. You see guys, even though Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl this year, but, when you talk about stats-wise and where these dudes have been in their careers, Purdy is right up there with them.
Yeah.
So, you got to believe the number's going to be around $45 million, especially he's an extremely young player. And I don't think him and his team should take anything less. And if you don't want to pay me that, man, shoot, I'll play out these years and then you can let me hit the market.
James, we know you got a crazy schedule, man. We appreciate you taking some time for us. You've always been generous with your time, so thank you. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach.
Not a problem, fellas. Anytime I can make it, man, I'll jump on with you guys and have some football conversations, man. Nice to hear from you guys.
You got it. James Jones, you got to check him out every morning on FS1 on the facility. Former Packer Raider coach now. And you can follow him at 89 Jones NTF. So appreciate him joining us today. And he's brought to you by our host today, the Right Toyota. Right price, right selection, Right Toyota here in Scottsdale on Franklin Lloyd Wright Boulevard. They have the right deal for everyone. Right now, you can check out all their inventory of their pre-owned certified vehicles under $15,000. Everything's up on the website at righttoyota.com. We got one more to go. We'll finish up. We got our Learner Row one call and got some news on the ratings last night for USA and Canada. It's unbelievable. That's next.
It's the Lerner and Rowe one call, that's all call of the day. If you're looking for a full-service law firm, just make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. Lerner and Rowe, voted Arizona's best law firm.
We're going to be very interested in getting Trey McBride re-signed to an extension. He's such an incredible player on the field, a Walter Payton Man of the Year off the field, and a great locker room guy. And I think his leadership is going to be an important part of our future in the locker room as well. And he's prepared to lead. So I think, we're going to go out there. You're going to overpay in free agency. That's just the fact of life in the NFL. And so we got to see who's out there and what the circumstances are. Monty's making all those decisions. He's got the keys to the franchise in the football personnel and roster building world. And so we
make Mike's up
conversations about it. And so we just got to see who's out there and how they're going to fit in and make sure we don't overpay by too much to where you're regretting something down the line.
That's Michael Bidwell, owner of the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, he was on Newsmakers on Arizona Sports 98.7 this morning. And Osiport as well. Monty Osiport was on the program as well. If you want to check that out, you can go to ArizonaSports.com and check it all out, as there's a bunch of sound, bunch of stories up, good stuff there, as they had a great week of Newsmaker Week here on the Mothership 98.7 FM, as we are here on ESPN 620, and we have some numbers to throw at you.
Big numbers, Rock?
Gigantic. The Four Nations face-off yesterday drew more than 15 million viewers across North America. ESPN averaged 9.3 million viewers, which surpassed the previous NHL record, which was a Stanley Cup in 2019, which was 8.9. So Sportsnet in Canada averaged 5.7 million viewers with a total of 10.7 million, making it the network's second most watched hockey game. My notes don't have the first. I think it was, I think it was the final game between Canada and USA in the Vancouver Olympics in 2010. That did 27.6 million viewers
incredible.
on NBC. That is just a gigantic number. So the Saturday night game against Canada, and Saturday night doesn't really draw well when it comes to ratings. Friday, Saturdays aren't good. It's usually Sunday, and then through the week. That did 5.7 up there, so that did really well, and 4.4 here. So again, the most watched non-Stanley Cup final since 2019.
Well, it kind of set itself up for that. I mean, these two teams going at it, all the minutiae surrounding Canada and USA, and kind of this rivalry, this angst on the political side and on this side, but just two outstanding teams. USA beating them the first time. The second time, can they beat them again? Boston the TD Garden. I mean, I think and on a Thursday night too, Rock. I mean, you talked about Friday and Saturday nights aside from a Sunday, maybe a Monday, but Thursday night. What a great time!
Yeah, they got lucky.
Watch. They really did.
And you had nothing else going on.
You didn't.
The NBA's going on, but there's not much there because they're just coming off their break.
Yeah. The first game for a lot of teams like the Suns last night.
I'm anxious to see how they can, run with this,
capitalize.
Yeah, capitalize on this momentum. Unfortunately, I think we're going to probably look back in 3 months and say, hey, did hockey make a turn? And maybe it did. Maybe there's some kids that never watched the sport, watched it last night, and now they're
take
anxious
advantage
to say,
of it.
Hey, I want to learn how to skate. I want to learn how to play hockey.
Sure.
I think that would be great.
I think a lot of it that happens. I mean, it's kind of a natural when you see something big comes up, and all of a sudden
everybody's talking about
it,
especially little kids.
Yes,
they see your parents all excited about it.
Yeah,
the old USA, and no Canada, and then you're like, wow, that's Daddy. I want to,
get those skates.
I want to play hockey.
I remember the movie was it mid '90s? I want to say Mighty Ducks came out, and then all the kids. I mean, my kids included. They were like 4 and 6 and 5 and 7 when that movie came out. Every kid wanted to go play hockey. Everyone wanted to go ice ski. You remember the old Christown Mall, the old ice jam over there?
I used to go there a lot.
So we went over there, and I signed Landon up for a team. Even my daughter, she played. She was 5, and he was 7. It became big all of a sudden. The ice time picked up all around the valley. And I think that movie, because they did Mighty Ducks 2, but they captured the momentum. And I think as the Coyotes came in town, obviously, 95, 96, they started to build. So when you had Mighty Ducks, you had the not the Roadrunners anymore, but you had the Coyotes were in town. This started to grow, and on top of that was when the Coyotes were going to the playoffs. Keith Tkachuk, you talk about J.R. Roenick. It was really Javi Bulin, and it grew and grew and grew. That was a case where here in the Valley, it exploded on the seam. All of a sudden, you got ice sheets all over the valley, around the valley. And that really picked up. That was one of those cases where things really picked up.
Corbin Burns today, he started for the Diamondbacks against the Rockies in their first spring training game, and he struck out the side. That's pretty cool. They're down 12-6 right now as Colorado scored 6 in the 9th. They scored 5 in the 4th. So this one's just about over as they're in the top of the 9th inning. Yesterday, when we were on the air from Twin Peaks, there was a scary moment on television right behind us and back in Camelback Ranch as Bobby Miller, the Dodgers pitcher, was on the mound. And he got hit in the head by a 106-mile-an-hour baseball off the bat of Michael Busch. That hit him squarely in the head.
Saw that.
And he was down for several seconds. And, of course, the training staff was there. And obviously he was taken, off, and they put him in a concussion protocol. There's no timetable right now on where he is with that. However, he did post Thank you to everyone who has reached out. Really means a lot. Scary moment. I'm good. All praise to the man above. Can't wait to get back on the mound. That's what he tweeted.
And the thing was, it caught him to the top right of the forehead. They said if he had his head turn and caught him on the temple, I mean, it might have been a different story. So he was very fortunate. And they said very fortunate to hit him in the noggin up front than on the side or the back. Because, a lot of pitchers come through with that hard follow through. So
here's what's on tap tomorrow. The Suns are on 98.7. That game is at 3 o'clock. Pregame starts at 2 on 98.7. ESPN 620 right here. We'll have Diamondbacks and Rockies. And then they'll go again on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And then the Suns, they got back-to-back. So they'll go Chicago, then they'll go Toronto on Sunday. So 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock tip on Sunday.
State Farm Roofing, get your call question today real quick. Do you feel like the Suns 120-109 lost to shorthanded Spurs team that they have any chance to now make the play-in tournament? Number one, no way. Number two, yes, but very similar. Yes, it's only one game.
Also, programming note, the ASU basketball game at Kansas State at 2 o'clock on Sunday will be on 92.3 FM. Okay, 92.3 FM for ASU basketball on Sunday. We'll be back here on Monday. If you missed anything, go to rockandmanuch.com. Also, if you'll listen to us streaming,